Chapter 423. Looking at Mo Luo, whose aura was like the sky, Tai Su sighed. He was indeed much weaker than Mo Luo. However, he had a reason to save Ning Fan. Putting aside the fact that he was already dead, even if he was still alive, he would definitely save Ning Fan from this calamity. Mo Luo stopped using the star-punishing bow art. Instead, he formed hand seals with his 10 fingers, and the vertical ghost eye between his brows immediately flashed with a strange dark light. The moment this dim light rose, the entire world fell into darkness. In the darkness of the night, many strange and enormous vertical eyes appeared in the night sky. There were billions of them in total. Every vertical eye had a nirvana demonic flame brewing within it. Just one vertical eye and the aura of the devil flame were enough to kill a soul formation cultivator. 100 streams of devil flames could kill a void refinement realm being. The 10,000 traces of devil flames could kill a void fragmentation realm expert. 1,000,000 devil flames could kill a life immortal. 100 million devil flames could kill a true immortal. When the number of devil flames reached 10 billion, even an ordinary immortal emperor would be incinerated to death. Mo Luo Dao demonized 10 billion arts. Mo Luo's icy cold voice was like the final bell that demanded one's life, and it reverberated in the heavens and the earth for a long time. The sky was filled with murderous intents. The heavenly path trembled. Mo Luo, who was at 50% of his power, could instantly kill Tai Su at his peak. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with shock. Was this great Emperor Mo Luo one of the 9 emperors of the ancient demon clan? If such a person was still alive, he would probably be able to slaughter the entire 4 heavens and 9 worlds. Even though the 4 heavens also had celestial emperors, they definitely didn't have a peak celestial emperor like Mo Luo. He couldn't resist Mo Luo's possession, so he could only force him with death. It turned out that it wasn't shameful at all. With Mo Luo's tyrannical strength, he could even seize the body of a grand essence-level expert. It wouldn't be too difficult. Currently, the prerequisite for the successful possession was for Tai Su to cultivate the stone warrior devil marks like Ning Fan. Then, he had to develop it step by step until it broke through to the profound earth realm of the general rank and gradually form his devil eyes. Mo Luo did not choose his slaves because he was hungry. If one did not have the aptitude to develop the stone warrior's demonic rune to the point where the demonic eye descends, they would not even be qualified to become his slave. As for Mo Luo, he was even more picky when it came to seizing someone's body. He was willing to seize Ning Fan's body, but he might not necessarily be willing to seize the body of a true immortal. This meant that Mo Luo also admired Ning Fan a lot. Unfortunately, it was only an appreciation for an enemy or a servant. It would never be equal. An existence worthy of being on the same level as Mo Luo had long since died in the torrent of time. Brat, as you can see, this great Emperor Mo Luo is too powerful. Even though this old man is unwilling to lose to him, it's not a loss even if he kills me once. You, on the other hand, are different. Your body will be seized or you will be enslaved. Are you willing? Tai Su smiled bitterly. I'm unwilling. Ning Fan closed his eyes and said indifferently. Although he was unwilling, there were too many things in this world that he could not do because he was weak. So what if he was unwilling? The only thing he could do was to prevent Mo Luo from successfully enslaving and seizing his body. He had an obsession that he would not regret even if he died 100 times. I have a secret technique that can eliminate Mo Luo. But this secret technique might require you to sacrifice something. However, it might also be an opportunity. Senior, if you have something to say, please speak clearly. This old man has a plan that can exterminate Mo Luo. But I need your help. The conversation between Tai Su and Ning Fan was carried out in public. They did not avoid Mo Luo at all. Besides, Tai Su purposely emphasized on the word exterminate, as if he was trying to infuriate Mo Luo. Mo Luo's devil eye flame originally wanted to incinerate Tai Su. However, after hearing Tai Su's arrogant words, the corner of his mouth curled into a conceited and mocking smile. He knew that Tai Su was provoking him. He also knew that Tai Su knew that he would not be able to win and he was going to play dirty tricks. However, he did not care. He did not care what tricks Tai Su played. It was because he was strong. It was because he was conceited. It was because he was Mo Luo. He would never be defeated. I can give you a chance to borrow his physical body. Mo Luo sneered. His words exposed Tai Su's intention. Mo Luo was already dead and so was Tai Su. The two of them certainly could not be at their peak. Due to some reasons, Mo Luo could only use 30% of his magic power. After extracting his soul, he could reach 50% of his power. As for Tai Su, because he was summoned by Ningfan's finger bone, he was almost at his peak. However, this peak still had its limitations. Many secret techniques that required the help of his physical body could not be used. Ningfan's insignificant strength could not interfere in the battle between two immortal emperors at all. The only thing he had was a physical body. If Tai Su temporarily possessed Ningfan's body, he would be able to display some kind of secret technique. Perhaps he could use this secret technique to fight against Mo Luo. Tai Su had the same intention. Both of them were immortal emperors. Their minds were naturally monstrous. It was normal for Mo Luo to see through some of his thoughts. Tai Su was not ashamed of it. No, it should be said that if it was the Tai Su of the past, he would disdain to borrow someone else's strength to fight against his enemies. However, the current situation was different from the past. He had a moment that only Ningfan could do. Therefore, he could not allow Ningfan to be enslaved and possessed. Therefore, even if he had to be despicable and ruin his illustrious reputation, he would not hesitate to do it. Senior wants to attach your primordial spirit to my body? Ningfan opened his eyes and asked. That's right. I have one thing that I won't be able to let go even if I die. Only you can do it? You must promise me this and I will give up everything to save you. Tai Su said firmly. All right. Ningfan nodded his head and promised. Weaklings did not have the right to negotiate. If he had the strength of an immortal emperor and could eliminate Mo Luo with a single palm, he did not need to promise Tai Su any of his requests. However, he was weak. He needed Tai Su to survive. It was not unreasonable for him to promise Tai Su one thing for saving him. Very well. If the secret technique succeeds, I will naturally tell you about it. If the secret technique fails, you will die and I will perish. What's the point of talking about it? White Lightning Dao, Sovereign Spirit Possession Technique. Tai Su performed a hand seal. His body turned into illusory lightning and disappeared into Ningfan's body in a flash. Ningfan closed his eyes and shut his sea of consciousness, handing over the control of his body. However, at the next moment, his eyes were filled with surprise. Tai Su did not take away the control of his body. After burning his lifetime's Dao sense, Tai Su turned into a ball of lightning and added it to Ningfan's primordial spirit. That ball of lightning was much larger than the magic power of all the cultivators in the Rain World combined. Under the enhancement of that ball of lightning, Ningfan's aura force actually skyrocketed at this moment. Void Refinement Realm, Void Fragmentation Realm, Life Immortal Realm, True Immortal Realm, Immortal Emperor Realm. Mo Luo's eyes flashed with surprise. Then he sneered mockingly. Tai Su's action was beyond Ningfan's expectation. It was even beyond Mo Luo's expectation. Originally, Mo Luo thought that since Tai Su was no match for him, he would use his physical body to fight against him. However, out of Mo Luo's expectation, Tai Su did not have the intention to fight him at all. Instead, he gave Ningfan an extremely powerful magic power at the cost of destroying his Dao. It was a secret technique which was completely different from the soul extraction technique. The profound meaning of the soul extraction technique was to forcefully extract, snatch and snatch. As for this secret technique, it was about sacrifice, abandonment and exchange. Burning one's Dao sense and destroying one's Dao in exchange for magic power would grant others terrifying magic power for a short period of time. In order to save Ningfan, Lightning Emperor Tai Su gave up his lifetime's Dao. The current Ningfan could not understand the huge price he had to pay. Only after many years would he understand Tai Su's sacrifice and difficulties. Currently, he had fallen into a state of emptiness and confusion. He was like a young child who suddenly became a supreme sovereign with millions of mountains and rivers under his control. However, he did not know how he should give orders. The level of his magic power was raised to the immortal emperor realm by Tai Su. Due to Tai Su's great sacrifice, Ning Fan's current magic power was even a small cultivation realm stronger than Tai Su at his peak. Even though it was still inferior to Mo Luo's, there was not much difference between them. The difference in magic power was reduced. However, magic power was not the deciding factor in a battle between immortal emperor realm experts. Once one becomes an immortal, Dao comprehension was the most important thing. The comprehension of the great Dao determined the destructive power of immortal techniques and the strength of one's combat power. However, Ning Fan's Dao comprehension was still at the void inquiry stage after all. He did not even have the void pierce stage, absolute void stage, or void fragmentation realm. Thus, he had yet to understand the word void. Without understanding the concept of void and truth, Ning Fan might not even be able to withstand a single attack from an ordinary immortal emperor even if he possessed the immortal emperor realm magic power. Mo Luo had the same thought. That was why he mocked Tai Su for his stupidity. Ning Fan closed his eyes and bit the tip of his tongue fiercely. With the help of the pain, he slightly calmed his restless heart. Even though his Dao comprehension was far from an immortal emperor, he had reached the half-step void refinement realm after all. He was not a fool. He naturally understood that magic power was useless. With his current immortal emperor realm magic power, Ning Fan might be able to bully ordinary true immortals. However, if he faces an immortal emperor realm expert of the same level as him, he would only be killed instantly. It was absolutely impossible for him to defeat Mo Luo. Unless he relied on his own efforts to comprehend the void and truth step by step and climb to the immortal emperor realm. Only then would he have the qualifications to challenge Mo Luo. May I ask, Senior, why did you save me? Why did you grant me magic power? I have no chance of winning. I have no chance at all. Your chance of winning is very low. However, you have at least 40% chance of eliminating Mo Luo. You can give it a try. Unexpectedly, Tai Su had quite a lot of confidence in Ning Fan. I have seen your 3 questions with the help of the incomplete lightning memory reading technique. Your answers are very good. Very good. However, the reason why I believe in your strength is not this. In the past, someone told me that the next person who condenses the Tai Su lightning star can resolve the calamity of my true lightning world in the past 1 billion years. I didn't believe it at first. However, when I saw you for the first time, I believed it. That person had once given me a jade slip. There is an afterimage technique in it. Perhaps you are the only one who can display this technique. Even if you only display the afterimage of this technique, just the afterimage is enough to defeat Mo Luo. However, if you can't display it, no one can survive this calamity. I have heard your answers to Tai Su's 3 questions. When you were breaking through your seclusion, I had seen the power of that golden purple mist. If I'm not mistaken, that power is the key to display the afterimage technique in the jade slip. Why don't you give it a try? As soon as Tai Su finished speaking, he circulated his lightning power. The 7-colored lightning power slowly condensed into a jade slip and floated in front of Ning Fan. He scanned the jade slip with his spirit sense. Within it, there was a man in purple robes with a blurry face. He was standing on the peak of the sea of clouds. His 5 fingers moved and the golden purple mist turned into a palm imprint. Ning Fan could not see the appearance of the man in purple robes clearly as it was concealed by the samsara. The chi of the man in purple robes gave Ning Fan an extremely familiar feeling. He seemed to be immortal sovereign Zido, but at the same time, he was not. Ning Fan looked at that figure. He seemed to have recalled something, but at the same time, he seemed to have forgotten something. Gradually, he was no longer obsessed with the man's identity. Instead, he just carefully observed the man's palm imprint. What condensed in the middle of the man's palm was an extremely exquisite palm imprint. Upon closer inspection, that palm imprint was made up of 5 fingers. Each of the fingers corresponded to the heaven-breaking sword finger. Moreover, it was the first 5 fingers. When the 5 fingers combined into one, They condensed into a single palm imprint with the help of the samsara mist. Judging from the traces of the fingers, each of them was the heaven-breaking sword finger. However, their sword intent was different from the sword fingers. Moreover, the profound meaning of the sword fingers seemed to be different from the heaven-breaking sword finger. The profound meaning of the heaven-breaking sword finger lied in the word, collapse. As for the 5 sword fingers in the palm imprint, the profound meaning was all in the word, command. Ning Fan could not find a suitable word to describe it specifically. However, he vaguely understood the Tao sense of this palm imprint. He had once destroyed the southern prison country with a palm imprint. The Tao sense of that palm imprint was somewhat similar to the one in front of him. If I can display this palm imprint, even if it's just a vague shadow of the palm imprint, it will certainly be stronger than these 10 billion devil flames. Before samsara, all devils will become nothing. Is the man who displayed this technique immortal sovereign Zido? But why do I have a feeling that he is not the same person as the immortal sovereign? If he isn't Zido, who else could he be? Ning Fan's mind was filled with doubts, but he gave up all of them. What he needed to do now was just to comprehend that palm imprint. He did not seek to comprehend it completely. He just wanted to display that palm imprint with great effort. A trace of information flowed into his mind. It seemed to be the name of that palm imprint technique. He needed to familiarize himself with the heaven-breaking sword finger one by one before he could combine the 5 fingers into one. Moreover, he needed to get used to his magic power first and determine the realm of his magic power. When Ning Fan's words fell into Tai Su's ears, it turned into a gratified smile. Since Ning Fan could see through a trace of the profound meaning of this technique, the chances of him displaying the residual shadow of this technique was slightly higher than Tai Su's expectation. Tai Su could not help but admit that Ning Fan's comprehension ability was far beyond his expectation. After all, Ning Fan had obtained the memories of ancient chaos as soon as he entered the cultivation world. After entering the illusory realm, he even received guidance from Zido. Thus, his Tao comprehension was naturally extraordinary. Ning Fan's words fell into Mo Luo's ears, causing the latter's expression to turn cold. Mo Luo did not like to joke around. He allowed experts to challenge him, but he hated those who were arrogant. From Mo Luo's point of view, Ning Fan had only obtained magic power and did not have the Tao comprehension of an immortal emperor. Thus, Ning Fan was not even qualified for him to lift a finger. This kind of junior actually dared to boast in front of him. Ning Fan was really overestimating his own strength. You can take your time to ponder and display this palm imprint. Let me see what kind of secret technique it is that actually gives you the confidence to kill me. However, I can bet with you that no matter what kind of secret technique you display, you won't be able to make me use more than 100 million traces of devil flames. Mo Luo believed that Ning Fan had obtained the support of Tai Su's secret technique after all. At least before he leaves the dream of his mind, Ning Fan's magic power would be comparable to his. Those who could force him to use 100 million traces of devil flames were all peak true immortals. In Mo Luo's eyes, Ning Fan only had the strength of a peak true immortal at most. Just as his voice fell, he saw Ning Fan suddenly raise his hand. His vast magic power turned into 5 fingers and clawed. The surrounding darkness was suddenly broken by rays of golden sunlight. The sunlight eventually condensed into a gigantic golden spear. The surface of the golden spear was glowing with golden flames and golden light. Each wisp of golden flames was powerful enough to crush a void refinement realm expert. When the spear was thrown out, rays of sunlight flowed along the strange trajectory of the Great Tao. The melting star on Ning Fan's glabella rotated in the opposite direction. That golden spear suddenly shone with dazzling yang power as if it was a golden sun that could illuminate the world. A ray of dazzling sunlight carried a void fragmentation realm aura force and blasted towards Mo Luo. It was a mid-grade divine transformation realm demonic technique, the parting sun spear. Ning Fan had just used the immortal emperor realm magic power and he had yet to fully integrate his magic power. Thus, the magic power he could use was almost negligible. Even so, the mere parting sun spear was already enough to kill a void fragmentation realm old monster. However, Ning Fan only used a void fragmentation realm attack to attack Mo Luo. To Mo Luo, it was really a humiliation. He used magic power which was even higher than Tai Su's, but he only used a void fragmentation realm junior's attack which was not even at the life immortal realm. Could it be that this kind of trash magic technique was the trump card that Ning Fan and Tai Su used to deal with him? Ridiculous! How could this kind of trash magic technique have any chance of harming me? He even said that he had 40% chance of killing me. It turns out that he was just talking nonsense. Mo Luo was so angry that he laughed. He clasped his hands behind his back without moving. With just a thought in his mind, 10,000 traces of devil eyes shot out devil flames which moved as fast as meteors. The 10,000 traces of flames burned the parting sun spear into ashes in an instant. A void fragmentation realm attack was only worthy of Mo Luo using 10,000 traces of devil flames. He even said that Ning Fan could make him use 100 million traces of devil flames. He had really overestimated Ning Fan. The limit of this technique is a void fragmentation realm attack. However, I can't change the might of the spear, but I can change the number of parting sun spears. With the magic power of an immortal Emperor realm expert, I can make some slight changes to this technique. He closed his eyes and sensed the flow of the immortal Emperor realm magic power in his body. After the initial attack, the magic power in his body was like a wooden tube which was filled with chopsticks. After pulling out a pair of chopsticks, the magic power in his body gradually began to circulate. Those traces of magic power were all obtained by Tai Su when he ignited his Tao. Within the magic power, there were traces of profound Tao comprehension. While experiencing this kind of Tao comprehension, Ning Fan's eyes gradually became blank. Tai Su's Tao comprehension gradually integrated into his mind. At this moment, his consciousness suddenly became unprecedentedly clear again. This unprecedentedly clear state could only be experienced when he consumed the spirit refining grass for the first time and comprehended the spirit wander technique. At this moment, Ning Fan seemed to have entered a strange state. Unity of heaven and man. Mo Luo's expression changed for the first time. Among 10 billion cultivators, there might not even be one who could achieve the unity of heaven and man. This kind of person might have a particularly keen understanding of the heavenly Tao because of their various experiences. Under coincidental circumstances, they could even merge with the heavenly Tao. At least, Mo Luo was not that lucky person. Tai Su was also not that lucky person. No, it should be said that it was not luck but a kind of talent. This person can achieve the unity of heaven and man. Even though he did it with the help of my Tao power, he should be proud of himself. I really didn't misjudge him. He might really be the person who can help the true lightning world to escape from the calamity. The unity of heaven and man. Because Ning Fan was ordinary, he was close to the Tao. Because he cultivated the yin-yang transformation, he became more compatible with the Tao. Everyone had their own Tao. Some were upright, some were deviant, some were crooked. However, only those who were upright and deviant could achieve the unity of heaven and man. It was because the heavenly Tao was originally the product of the contradictory yin and yang. Tai Su was obsessed with lightning while Mo Luo was obsessed with devils. Due to their stubbornness, they could not be close to the Tao. Ning Fan looked stubborn, but he was quite flexible. This was the key to achieving the unity of heaven and man. Under the state of the unity of heaven and man, Ning Fan felt that his Tao comprehension was no weaker than that of an immortal emperor. The first time he became one with the world was by chance. For the second time, it was thanks to Tai Su's Tao ignition that he achieved one with the world. In this state, Ning Fan's understanding of the parting sun spear was even more thorough than the creator of this technique. He seemed to be able to see through the development of the parting sun spear and knew how to make the parting sun spear stronger. Yin fusion, thunder division, true yang. The true yang transforms into shadows, and the golden spear splits into shadows. There is truth in the void. Ning Fan muttered to himself. Even he himself might not be able to comprehend what he just said. All of them were seen from the heavenly Tao. The heavenly Tao could deduce the trajectory of this technique. From that trajectory, Ning Fan saw the strongest form of the parting sun spear. Once again he made a grabbing motion with his 5 fingers. Heaven and earth gave birth to sunlight, and the sunlight condensed into a golden spear. As his magical power flowed smoothly, his execution of the parting sun spear became even more perfect. However, he did not use his golden spear. The maximum attack of the parting sun spear was a void fragmentation realm strike. No matter how strong it was, the body of the spear would certainly collapse. Why did it collapse? Because his physical body could no longer withstand the higher grade of magic power, he needed to voidify. Divide. A physical spear suddenly became faint and divided into 2 slightly illusory spear shadows. It was as if the golden pigment that was only enough to draw 1 golden spear was enough to form 2 golden spear shadows after being diluted with water. 2 divided into 4, 4 divided into 8. Gradually, there were already more than 1,000,000 spear shadows in the sky. Each of those illusory spear shadows could kill a void refinement realm being. Even though the spear shadows had become faint and their destructive power seemed to have decreased significantly, the number of the spear shadows had increased to a terrifying level. Ning Fan did not pursue the maximum attack power of a single spear shadow. Instead, he sought the best balance between the limit and the number of the spear shadows. After this parting sun spear is divided into shadows, it can be listed as an immortal technique. It can be named parting sun split shadows. Immortal technique, parting sun split shadows. Ning Fan pointed his finger at the air. 1,000,000 illusory golden spear shadows suddenly pierced towards Mo Luo at the next moment. Mo Luo's eyes turned slightly serious for the first time. It was because Ning Fan, who was just a junior at the first step of the Heavenly Tao, had actually created an immortal technique in front of him. Rumble. The 1,000,000 spear shadows had nearly extinguished 130 million traces of devil flames and destroyed 130 million devil eyes. It was even stronger than Mo Luo's estimation of Ning Fan's maximum strength. 130 million traces of devil flames. Your prediction doesn't seem to be accurate. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with a hint of indifference and dignity. That dignity was borrowed from the Heavenly Tao after attaining the unity of heaven and man. You can continue. While you still have the unity of heaven and man, create a few more types of immortal techniques and comprehend the essence of that secret technique. If you can destroy 1 billion traces of devil flames, you can at least fight against an ordinary immortal emperor right now. Mo Luo turned his hand and the devil flames of his destroyed devil eyes reformed. He was waiting for Ning Fan to give him his strongest attack. He did not care about being killed by Ning Fan at all. He was already dead. Even if he is defeated this time, he would only lose the chance to enslave Ning Fan. That was all. After sleeping for 1,000,000 years, he might still be able to wait for the next slave of Mo Luo. That was just a superficial reason. The real reason was that Mo Luo never believed that Ning Fan could defeat him. It was impossible under any circumstances. As for Ning Fan, he tightly grasped this opportunity to comprehend the limits of each and every magic technique. In the end, he finally displayed the technique in the Jade Slip. The chance to attain the unity of heaven and man was hard to come by again. There would not be a second chance in his life to receive the gift of magic techniques from an immortal emperor. This was an opportunity for Ning Fan to cultivate all of his past magic techniques to their peak. Of course, the most important thing was that he wanted to devour Mo Luo today. He was not a magnanimous person. He would not forgive Mo Luo's provocation and persecution just because Mo Luo allowed him to test his techniques. He wanted Mo Luo to pay the price. If he uses that palm strike, Mo Luo would no longer have the chance to revive. Mo Luo would pay the price for his arrogance, Tao destruction. Chapter 424. With the help of the Heavenly Tao comprehension of the unity of heaven and man, Ning Fan deduced the parting sun spear to the grade of an immortal technique. However, everything has its limit. The limit of this immortal technique obviously could not reach the level of an immortal emperor. It was just a useless technique in a battle between immortal emperors. If it is used in a battle between life immortals or true immortals, it could be useful. This was the limit of the parting sun spear. Even if it turned into a phantom, it could only have this much destructive power. Of course, if he adds some changes on top of the phantom form, it might make this technique even stronger. However, the current Ning Fan could not fully comprehend that kind of changes even if he was in the unity of heaven and man. The future of this technique was limited after all. Ning Fan's eyes turned slightly cold. He no longer deduced the parting sun spear. He should use a stronger technique to derive it so that he could gain more enlightenment. In the end, everything he did was to prepare for the comprehension of the final attack. With a thought in his mind, he decided to derive the technique and complete his comprehension. Naturally, it would be a technique that made it stronger. Every step he took triggered the great momentum of the heavenly Tao. With one step, heaven and earth collapsed. With 5 steps, the great momentum was destroyed. With 9 steps, the sovereign sword was formed. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with surprise. He did not expect that when the 9 heaven-treading steps was derived to the extreme, it would actually break the heavenly momentum, merge with the sovereign momentum, and make the sovereign heaven immortal. The 1 million rays of sovereign qi turned into 1 million pure golden killing swords. After using the 9 heaven-treading steps, his sword power reached its peak. The 1 million rays of sovereign qi were naturally left by Tai Su. Seeing Ning Fan, who was just a divine transformation realm cultivator, actually grasped the method to use the sovereign qi, both Tai Su and Mo Luo were slightly surprised. Those who could touch the threshold of the sovereign qi at the void fragmentation realm could be considered as sovereigns. They were considered as people who had a natural affinity with the sovereign qi. However, the significance of Ning Fan comprehending the sovereign qi at the divine transformation realm was significant. At first, Ning Fan did not want to use the sovereign qi to prevent the Rain Sovereign from knowing about it. Fortunately, the place where he was displaying the sovereign qi was a dream in his mind. No one else would know about it. Besides, compared to the Rain Sovereign, he was obviously billions of times more dangerous than Mo Luo. Of course, he did not mind using the sovereign qi. Mo Luo's eyes turned solemn. He vaguely felt that it was a mistake to let Ning Fan derive the technique. His eyes turned slightly solemn. He vaguely felt that it was a mistake to let Ning Fan derive the technique. However, his pride did not allow him to fear a deity transformation junior. A junior at the soul formation stage, even if he used a secret technique to increase his magic power to the immortal emperor stage, even if he achieved the unity of heaven and man and obtained the comprehension of the heavenly Tao, compared to a real immortal emperor stage, there was still a world of difference. It was irresistible. Mo Luo raised a hand, and 1 billion demonic flames swept out. The demonic flames burned the heavens, and the 1 million sovereign swords were incinerated one after another. His tone was still disdainful. 1 billion devil flames. If you can't come up with a stronger technique, you will die today. Don't worry, I won't let you down. Ning Fan deduced the advancement method of the 9 heaven-treading steps. His heart became even more tranquil. He closed his eyes, and a black aura gradually rose around his body. It was also a black aura, but this black aura was the same as the demonic aura. It was formed by the ink-colored divine sense. Ning Fan's black hair cascaded down like a waterfall. His eyes opened coldly and the left side of his face was covered with demonic marks. His black robe fluttered in the wind. His aura became even more unfathomable. Incarnation? This incarnation looks a little familiar. Immortal Emperor Tai Chang's Sense Soul Technique. This time, Immortal Emperor Tai Su was the one who was surprised. He did not realize that each of Ning Fan's trump cards had a stronger background than the previous one. First, it was the sovereign qi. Then, it was the incarnation. This young man has comprehended 2 types of void fragmentation realm secret techniques when he was just at the divine transformation realm. His innate potential is indeed unparalleled. However, if it's just the incarnation of his sense soul, it's definitely impossible for him to be Great Emperor Mo Luo's opponent. Immortal Emperor Tai Chang's strength is much weaker than mine. His sense soul incarnation is good at defense but not offense. Tai Su muttered to himself. At the next moment he suddenly paused. Ning Fan's eyes were cold and emotionless. He took a step forward and his incarnation suddenly shattered. Inwardly, he was repeatedly deducing the heavenly Tao and thinking about the advancement method of the Black Tempest soul-splitting technique. Shatter and condense. Shatter again and condense again. Shattering from the real is actually a deduction of the void. Condensing from the broken to the real is actually a deduction of the true. I don't understand the void and I don't understand the true, but I understand the ingenious fusion between the true and the void. With my current strange state, I should be able to comprehend a thing or two. Condense. Countless traces of black sense suddenly turned into an illusory black shadow and rushed towards Mo Luo. Each trace of power that formed the black shadow was sword sense. Mo Luo was slightly stunned. He did not expect that Ning Fan also possessed sword sense. However, if it's just a sword sense of this level, it would not be able to hurt Mo Luo at all. Mo Luo only activated a trace of devil flame and burned that black shadow with a hint of mockery. An attack of this level won't be able to hurt me. Just as his voice fell, his eyes slightly trembled at the next moment. When one shadow was burned, two shadows were born. When the two shadows were burned, more shadows were born. In the midst of the shattering and rebirth, the number of black shadows increased. Eventually, billions of black shadows were formed. The destructive power of each of the black shadows was slightly stronger than Mo Luo's devil flame. The billions of black shadows shattered and condensed at the same time. The transformation of the true and void power during the process of shattering was enough to completely destroy Mo Luo's billions of devil flames. Moreover, it could even hurt Mo Luo. This technique, Mo Luo's heart skipped a beat. At the next moment, his eyes relaxed. It was because the billions of black shadows that Ning Fan had forcefully split into exploded one after another. His technique had failed. The reason why he failed was not because of the wrong direction of his deduction. Even Tai Su and Mo Luo were slightly shocked by the method of transforming his body into 10 billion. The reason why Ning Fan failed was all because the spirit sense that Tai Su gave him was not strong enough to display this technique. After cultivating the Black Shadow Spirit Clone technique to 10 billion clones, the requirement towards the realm of the spirit sense was especially terrifying. Even Tai Su's spirit will was not strong enough to perform this technique. If the level of Ning Fan's spirit sense is a little higher, he would definitely have the confidence to injure Mo Luo with a single strike when he fully displays the 10 billion black shadows. This technique was indeed very powerful. Of course, the prerequisite was that Ning Fan needed to be able to use it. Failed? Ning Fan was not discouraged. On the contrary, he was slightly satisfied. He finally saw the cultivation direction of the ink flow spirit fission art. In the future, he would increase the number of clones he could use to kill his enemies. The secret technique was slowly weakening. The immortal emperor level magic power was slowly weakening. Ning Fan did not want to delay any longer. All he could do was to make use of this opportunity as much as possible to derive magic techniques that were worth more deducing. His eyes flashed. He wanted to deduce another technique? Soul extraction. In the past, he only knew how to extract the souls of the earth, mountains and rivers. However, after meeting Mo Luo today, Ning Fan found out that there were still the Void Soul, the Sun Moon Star Soul and the Heavenly Tao Soul above the Earth Soul. The Heavenly Tao only had one soul. Now, it had been extracted by Mo Luo. However, now that Ning Fan had merged with the Heavenly Tao, he could faintly feel that the actual soul of the Heavenly Tao had not been completely extracted by Mo Luo. There were still a lot of souls of the foreign Tao left. At this moment, Ning Fan understood a trace of the profound meaning of extracting the soul of the Heavenly Tao. He even understood a trace of the soul extraction technique, which was a higher level than the soul of the Heavenly Tao. However, what made him laugh at himself was that he could see through the profound soul extraction technique, but he could not see through the void soul, which was the second last technique. The reason why he could not see through it was because his understanding of the word void was not deep enough. Unless he had a deeper understanding of the void, he would not be able to extract the void soul. However, now that he had the magic power of an immortal emperor, He could extract the soul above the heavenly Tao and break Mo Luo's technique. The heavenly Tao is just one Tao. The sixth Tao is the foundation. At this moment, I can't understand what the Tao is. However, I can barely extract some of the six Tao souls. It is not enough to improve my magic power, but it can break your soul extraction technique. Soul of the sixth Tao, extract. Ning Fan made a grabbing motion with his 5 fingers. Even though he had yet to completely understand the soul extraction technique, he had a way to seize the soul of the heavenly Tao from Mo Luo's body. The sixth Tao goes against the will of the heavenly Tao. The heavenly Tao becomes chaotic and the soul power collapses. Mo Luo's chest felt as if he had suffered a heavy blow. He took 3 steps back continuously before he could stabilize himself. His expression was cold and murderous. A trace of blood actually flowed out from the corner of his mouth. He was careless and his soul was forcefully extracted by Ning Fan. He had already suffered a backlash. Extract the soul of the sixth Tao? Good. You won't have the chance to derive any more magic techniques. You have already made me really angry. Mo Luo's eyes turned cold. A gush of ferocious devil chi suddenly swept across heaven and earth. The devil flames of 10 billion devil eyes shot out at the same time. It had the ferocious might that could incinerate the myriad worlds in the heavens. Streams of devil flames collided with Ning Fan's chest like meteors. Ning Fan's chest trembled and he immediately coughed out blood. He retreated continuously. His injuries were getting more and more serious. Such serious injuries were definitely not something that Black Star could heal. The only thing he could rely on was the immortal Emperor realm magic power in his body to repair his physical body. However, repairing his physical body would consume too much of his magic power. Ning Fan had already used up half of the magic power that Tai Su had given him during the time he took to take a few hundred steps back. We can't delay any longer. Quickly attack. This devil has lost his patience. Tai Su reminded. Yes. After deducing several magic techniques, Ning Fan's control over the magic power of an immortal emperor realm became much smoother. Perhaps he was still far inferior to other immortal emperors. However, among the 7 levels of the first step of cultivation, perhaps even void fragmentation realm old monsters would not dare to say that their control of magic power was more precise than Ning Fan's. Not a single trace of wastage was wasted. Every trace was used in both offense and defense. In his mind, he recalled the elegance of that palm strike and the silhouette of that purple-robed man, which made him even more unfathomable. Who is it? Who is it? Familiar, strange, seen it before, never seen it before. With the help of the heavenly Tao, the trajectory of every trace of magic power in that palm strike gradually became clear in his mind. Forming a palm with his 5 fingers, the heaven-collapsing sword finger merged into one. Collapsing vast island rivers and mountains. A single finger could collapse mountains and rivers, possessing the power to kill nascent soul cultivators. Second, black sun collapsing firmament. When 2 fingers collapsed, the sky collapsed and the sun shattered, possessing the power to kill divine transformation realm experts. Third, void death bones. When 3 fingers collapsed, all the corpses of the dead who died in the void appeared one after another and shattered. The death chi in the void condensed into sword fingers which possessed the power to kill void refinement realm experts. Fourth, collapsing sovereign shadow tombs. When the 4 fingers collapsed, ancient tombs which were condensed from sovereign chi appeared in the vast sky. However, they collapsed one after another. Each time a tomb collapsed, there would definitely be a sort of sovereign chi which was comparable to the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. It would pierce through the vault of heaven, destroying hundreds of tombs, destroying the void fragmentation realm and injuring life immortals. Fifth, collapsing heaven immortal path. When the 5 fingers collapsed, each of the immortal paths that connected to the heavens collapsed. Each time an immortal path collapsed, there would be an immortal imprisoning sword which was powerful enough to kill a life immortal realm expert sweeping across the void. Each of the immortal imprisoning sword was powerful enough to kill a life immortal realm expert. Based on Ning Fan's understanding of the 5 fingers of the sword finger, he would perform the first, the second and the 5th consecutively. Today, however, he performed a sword with each of his 5 fingers and the 5 swords merged into one. Golden purple wind mist rose from the center of his palm. Under the effect of the wind mist technique, the 5 sword fingers slowly condensed into a golden purple palm imprint. Even the 5th heaven collapsing finger, which was one of the 5 swords, was only enough to kill an ordinary life immortal realm expert. However, when the 5 fingers merged into one, Ning Fan felt his magic power flowing into the palm imprint like a torrent. The destructive power of this palm imprint was enough to kill a true immortal realm expert. While he was dodging the attacks of the devil flames, he was condensing the palm imprint. Ning Fan had made countless deductions in his mind. However, he could no longer deduce the following steps of condensing the palm imprint. Perhaps, the profound principles contained in this palm imprint had already passed through the heavenly Tao of this world. He gradually realized that the reason why the 5 fingers were condensed using the wind mist was probably because of the power of samsara. This palm imprint should depict samsara. The samsara imprint of the wind mist finger was the indifference and helplessness of ashes returning to ashes and dust returning to dust. The samsara imprint of the wind snow finger was the determination to retain everything even if it meant freezing samsara. However, this palm imprint was different. That silhouette has integrated his Tao sense into this palm imprint. He wants to control samsara with this palm imprint. Immortal technique, one hand covering the sky. Ning Fan struck out with his palm. A kind of chi aura that was hard to describe spread out from his palm. At this moment, the jade slip shattered. A faint shadow floated out from it and slowly condensed into a gigantic purple shadow behind Ning Fan. The appearance of that gigantic shadow was shocking. Other than Ning Fan, who did not see it, both Tai Su and Mo Luo saw that purple-robed silhouette. That person was none other than the peerless cultivator who created this one-hand covering the sky technique and swore to control samsara. Tai Su had seen that person before. He was the one who gave him this jade slip. Mo Luo had also seen this person before. When he saw his face, he felt fear from the bottom of his heart despite his arrogance and haughtiness. This jade slip actually has a trace of his Tao sense sealed in it. It's him. It's him. It's him. But how is this possible? He's clearly dead. It's not him. If it's him, it's impossible for me to remember him. He doesn't allow anyone to remember him. That's right. So it's him and not him. But I shouldn't know him and I shouldn't have met him before. Where did I meet him? Damn it. One day, after 70% of my Tao sense breaks free from the suppression, I will definitely figure out everything and find out what exactly happened. But today I must escape. Mo Luo was actually afraid to fight. Even if his opponent was an immortal emperor or the strongest among the 9 devil emperors, he would not be afraid. However, this gigantic purple shadow was one of the people he absolutely did not dare to provoke. No matter if his guess was right or wrong, this person was not someone he could afford to provoke. Who is it? Ning Fan was secretly shocked. He wanted to turn his head around and look at that person's face. However, he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his sea of consciousness. At the moment he saw that person's face, all of his memories were erased. He could no longer remember that person's appearance. The only thing he remembered was that person's kind smile. Who is this person? You're not bad. With your innate potential, it's enough for you to defeat Mo Luo if you can comprehend a little bit of this palm technique. However, you will inevitably let him escape. In the past, I had already foreseen today's situation. The reason why I left this jade slip is to help you resolve your predicament. However, this is the only chance for me to help you in this lifetime. Otherwise, forget it. What's the point of saying so much? Suppressing this fiend is the right thing to do. It can also be considered as settling the grudges of the past. Helping you is just an accident. However, this accident is also in the cycle of samsara. One day you will understand it. As soon as the voice of the purple-robed man entered Ning Fan's ears, it was forcefully erased without leaving any trace, not giving anyone the chance to perform divination. He only had one chance to help Ning Fan in this place. He would only help Ning Fan once. The price he had to pay was the destruction of these traces of Tao sense. He was neither a living person nor a dead person. However, he must not appear. In the end, Ning Fan did not figure out whether this person was Mr. Zido or not. However, this person had already taken action and suppressed Mo Luo on Ning Fan's behalf. I will help you get rid of the 30% of Tao sense of this fiend. As for the remaining 70% of Tao sense that is being suppressed by Mo Luo Mountain, when your cultivation base is strong enough, you can go to the devil world and kill him. The gigantic purple-robed figure took a step forward. A terrifying aura force directly shattered the 10 billion devil eyes. Was Mo Luo very strong? However, in front of this purple-robed man, he was nothing. You can't do this. My slave Louis used to guard the 6 Tao. He has seen you before. He has seen you before. So what if he has seen me before? The purple-robed man smiled coldly and sent out a palm strike. The 5 fingers of the heaven-breaking sword finger turned into a palm and a purple-golden palm imprint pressed down. Mo Luo wanted to flee in panic. However, no matter where he fled to, the gigantic purple-golden palm would always hang above his head. When his devil body grew bigger, the palm imprint also grew bigger. When he turned into a tiny speck of dust, the palm imprint also became smaller, not allowing Mo Luo to escape from the gap between his fingers. The palm imprint was getting closer and closer to him. Mo Luo's eyes were filled with terror, but he could no longer avoid it. When the palm imprint landed on his body, he activated all the defenses of his physical body. However, as soon as the palm imprint touched him, all of them collapsed. One hand covers the sky. There was no way for him to escape. With a miserable shriek, Mo Luo, who had 30% of his strength, was instantly killed. The gigantic devil mountain behind him disappeared. After his death, the blood mist slowly turned into a drop of black devil blood. The remaining 70% of Mo Luo's devil sense was suppressed by the devil mountain. Now he hated Ning Fan to the core. Young man, I will remember you. Just you wait. In less than 1,000,000 years, I will wait for the next devil slave and I will certainly break out of the seal. Next time, there won't be a second Tai Su who will burn his Tao sense to save you from your tribulation. He truly destroyed his Tao, and I only lost 30% of my cultivation. Just you wait. Just you wait. In the end, that voice could no longer be heard. The purple-robed man also held a drop of devil blood in his hand. He studied it carefully and seemed to have recalled something, feeling a little nostalgic. Mo Luo's blood. The purple-robed man sighed emotionally. With a flick of his finger, he flicked the devil blood into Ning Fan's body. After using the power of that palm imprint just now, his gigantic shadow had already used up the power of his Tao sense and began to dissipate. After all, he was just a trace of Tao sense and not a living person. He was about to die. However, before he left, he took a deep look at Ning Fan. He was not looking at Ning Fan but Tai Su. He seemed to be saying something to Tai Su through telepathy. However, Ning Fan could not hear it. The only thing he could hear was Tai Su's voice of disbelief. The karma of the past has been settled today. Are you satisfied with this result? The purple-robed man smiled faintly and his figure became even fainter. Sigh. I'm satisfied. I didn't expect the result to be like this. Tai Su was obviously very surprised. No one knew what the relationship between the purple-robed man, Tai Su, and Mo Luo was. Whether the purple-robed man was Zido or not and why he wanted to conceal his identity, no one knew. The only thing they knew was that 30% of Mo Luo's devil sense had already died. The purple-robed man was also going to disappear soon. As for Tai Su, he had also burned his Tao sense and was about to perish. Everything was like a dream. At the beginning of the dream, there was only Ning Fan. After the dream, the 3 peerless experts would pass away one after another. Only Ning Fan was left. The devil race has lost its blood. Even though there is only 1 drop of Mo Luo's blood, it is a great opportunity for you. If you refine it, you will have the chance to become the second Mo Luo. The purple-robed man laughed. With a bang, the gigantic shadow collapsed. When it collapsed, immortal Emperor Tai Su wanted to say something, but he could not say anything in the end. He turned into a ray of lightning light and got out of Ning Fan's body, turning back into the red-robed elderly man. As for Ning Fan, he suddenly felt a sense of weakness which almost made him fall asleep. "Thank you, immortal Emperor Tai Su, for saving my life." Ning Fan cupped his fists to express his gratitude. "Thank me? I originally thought that it would be like that. I didn't expect it to be like this. In that case, whether I thank you or not is just an empty dream." Immortal Emperor Tai Su seemed to still be immersed in the words of the purple-robed man and could not let go of it. "I wonder what request Senior has. As long as I can help you, I will certainly do my best to help you." Even though it was the purple-robed man who killed Mo Luo in the end, Ning Fan would certainly not have been able to survive if it wasn't for Tai Su's help. He was neither a gentleman nor a vile person. However, he would certainly repay the favor. "Request, huh?" Tai Su's eyes turned slightly solemn. He wanted to say something but eventually kept his mouth shut. "Forget it. It's a long story. I will condense it into a jade slip. You will know once you take a look at it. Whether you can do it or not, you will have to do your best. The true lightning world is my hometown. I will have to trouble little friend for everything." Tai Su made a grabbing motion with his 5 fingers, condensing the lightning power into a jade slip and passed it to Ning Fan. His eyes were filled with nostalgia. He missed a white-haired old woman whom he had not seen for many years and whose fate was unknown. "You are luckier than me. You have an infatuated woman who is willing to do so much for you. The pure heart universal kindness incantation. The backlash from this woman must be extremely great." "What are you talking about, Senior? Why can't I understand?" Ning Fan asked in confusion. "It doesn't matter if you don't understand. Whether you are heartless or fickle, there is only one thing. When a flower blossoms, it must be plucked. That woman is not bad. Young man, cherish her." Tai Su closed his eyes in disappointment. He was already dead. Today, his Tao was destroyed. To an immortal emperor, the destruction of his Tao was just another death on top of his previous death. At this moment, what he missed was not the respect he had for a lifetime or the throne of Tao enlightenment but the resentful gaze of a white-haired old woman. "Fei Feng." Tai Su murmured the last name and gradually disappeared. At the moment when he disappeared, Ning Fan clearly felt that a trace of Tao power disappeared from the heavenly Tao. The disappearance of this trace of Tao power meant that the position of the lightning-wielding immortal emperor, which had been vacant for many years, would become vacant again. This scene might cause a great commotion in the 4 heavens. However, no one would know that a purple-robed expert and 2 immortal emperors had fallen one after another at this very moment. Some of them were really dead while some of them were faking their deaths. Some of them had their Tao destroyed. It was hard to tell who was real and who was fake. If it wasn't because of the strong sense of weakness in his body reminding him, if it wasn't because of the memories of deducing several types of magic techniques in his mind, and if it wasn't because of the trace of Tao power and Qi left by the heavenly Tao in his body, Ning Fan would definitely think that everything was really just a dream. Today, however, it was time for him to wake up from this dream. "The black primordial spirit wants to make me Mo Luo's slave. I wonder what kind of expression you will have when you find out that 30% of Mo Luo's devil sense has died." Ning Fan sneered. In a split second, blood lightning appeared in his finger bones. Within the blood lightning, there was also a drop of black devil blood which nourished his primordial spirit. At this moment, the devil Qi above Ning Fan's primordial spirit was monstrous. He opened his eyes. There were no signs of him being contaminated by the devil Qi. At this moment, he could release and withdraw his devil Qi at will. "Why are you awake?" In his dantian, the black primordial spirit was still trying its best to resist the lightning power of his finger bones, trying to gain complete control of his body and become Mo Luo's slave. However, it did not expect that Ning Fan's primordial spirit, which had been injured by the devil Qi, would awaken at this moment. Moreover, as soon as it awakened, it gave it a feeling that it could not resist. That feeling originated from the drop of devil blood which Ning Fan had devoured. "Didn't you want to become Mo Luo's slave?" I have devoured a drop of Mo Luo's blood. Now I am Mo Luo. Ning Fan's primordial spirit revealed a cold expression. After a flash, it returned to his dantian and regained control of his body. At this moment, Ning Fan's devilish giant body returned to its original appearance. At this moment, Ning Fan's primordial spirit occupied his dantian. His tiny primordial spirit was wearing golden armor and stepping on the black primordial spirit. Its eyes were filled with killing intent. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. How could Lord Mo Luo's blood be in your hands? Unless he's dead, otherwise his devil blood. That's right. He's dead. Ning Fan sneered. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. This is fake. The black primordial spirit was crying and laughing at times as if it had gone mad. He wholeheartedly wanted to become Mo Luo's slave. In his heart, Mo Luo was the strongest. However, Ning Fan knew that Mo Luo was not the strongest. Tai Su was not the strongest. Even that purple-robed man might not be the strongest. In this world, there was no such thing as the strongest. Whoever could walk to the end of the Tao would be the strongest. Unfortunately, no one knew where the end of the Tao would be. This time, Ning Fan really felt the feeling of being a strong expert after achieving the unity of heaven and man and possessing the immortal emperor realm for a short period of time. I can't be complacent anymore. I can't. Perhaps a million years later, I will have another battle with Mo Luo who has broken the seal. Perhaps that battle will be even closer. However, at that time, I will be a true immortal emperor. I will let Mo Luo know that the junior that he looked down upon in the past had already become an existence that he could only look up to. I still have a long way to go. However, you can die now. The next one will be King Ing Long. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with cold light. He opened his mouth and swallowed the black primordial spirit. The devil chi in his body became stronger. Then he refined the devil blood and devoured the finger bone. Mo Luo's blood, Tai Su's bone and the technique of the purple-robed man had all fallen into Ning Fan's hands. Mo Luo's devil marks seemed to have been rid of its hidden danger. However, he still needed to go to the giant devil clan to continue upgrading his devil marks. Ju Mo, Lu Yi, Lan Jiao and Gui Mu were all Mo Luo's slaves. They must have studied the slave marks very deeply. In the end, Ning Fan could not completely refine the devil blood. It seemed like he had to upgrade his devil marks to the martial realm before he could refine the blood. Perhaps at that time, he would know the use of the blood. As for the immortal emperor's finger bone, he could refine it as he pleased. Originally, refining the emperor's bone was definitely dangerous. However, Tai Su did not have any evil intentions towards Ning Fan. His bone also did not resist Ning Fan's devouring. The process of devouring the emperor's bone was rather smooth. After devouring the emperor's bone, Ning Fan's magic power skyrocketed, reaching the level of 650,000 units. The improvement of his magic power was just 1 point. The improvement of his physical body was the key. The strength of his physical body had broken through to the peak level of the Jade Life realm. It was just 1 step away from attaining the Golden Body realm. Besides, Ning Fan also understood that it would probably be very difficult for him to attain the Golden Body refining realm this time. However, his corpse devil body allowed his Jade Life pinnacle physical body to not be any weaker than an ordinary Golden Body cultivator. As for the devil body Dharma images of Mist Horn, Six Wings, and Ghost Eye, if they were to be executed, they would probably be able to fight even a Golden Body Realm 2 cultivator. After all, this devil body was an imitation of Great Emperor Mo Luo's Dharma idol by his second soul core, and it combined the advantages of the 4 great devil races of the Inner Sea. So, its might was naturally extraordinary. As such, he could almost instantly kill a Void Glimpse stage cultivator if he were to activate his devil body with all his might. With the lightning armor on his body, he was undefeatable in the innate realm. He could even withstand Void Inquiry stage attacks. It was not impossible for him to fight against King Ing Long. The only thing he needed to consider was that this demon body seemed to be hesitating. The demon blood hadn't been completely refined yet, so it was unable to maintain a stable state. If he activated it during battle, he wouldn't be able to maintain it for too long. He needed to finish this battle quickly. Mo Luo's Dharma idol. After I transform into my devil form, I can instantly kill a void glimpse stage cultivator. There is no doubt about this. The 3 days they had agreed on with Lei Shi were almost up. Ning Fan's primordial spirit returned to his body. He dispersed his devil body and returned to his usual white robes. However, he did not immediately leave the profound Yin world. As soon as he regained his senses, his expression changed and became blank. Beside him, a lady in white robes with a pale complexion was pouring all of her magic power into her primordial spirit to nourish Ning Fan's primordial spirit. She formed a hand seal with all 10 of her fingers and chanted some Sanskrit chants which had the miraculous effect of dispelling the devil qi. Ning Fan was very familiar with this magic power which was as cool as autumn water. It was the cool power that woke him up when he was almost lost in Mo Luo's devil voice. The other person who saved me is actually little Yu Er. When did she wake up? Ning Fan had no idea. The only thing he knew was that Luo Yu, who was gradually recovering the power of her primordial spirit, had actually become weak again because she channeled her power to save Ning Fan. Fortunately, this time, she was not as weak as she was at the beginning. Her qi was greatly damaged, but it was not to the point where she needed to fall into a deep sleep. It was just that her primordial spirit was weak and she needed to recuperate and nourish it. Seeing that Ning Fan had woken up, Luo Yu felt as if a huge rock had been lifted from her heart. Her brows relaxed and she smiled indifferently. That's good. Her vision turned black and she fell into Ning Fan's arms, falling into a deep sleep. How could this be? Ning Fan's eyes turned solemn. Amidst his confusion, he once again owed Luo Yu a huge favor. Moreover, he understood that the reason why Luo Yu helped him was different from the reason why she helped him previously. All of a sudden, he seemed to have understood immortal Emperor Tai Su's words. The good woman that Tai Su mentioned was probably Luo Yu. What a cunning little woman. When did you wake up? You actually managed to hide from me. If you wake up again next time, I certainly won't let you pretend to be asleep again. However, for now, you should have a good rest. Ning Fan carefully carried Luo Yu and returned to the thatched cottage step by step. Then, he helped her to stabilize the weakness of her primordial spirit. Inwardly, he was thinking that it would be better for him to ask Hong Yi for a few tufts of 100,000 years old spiritual herbs to harmonize a few pieces of dark golden bamboo leaves to treat Luo Yu's injuries. After this incident, Ning Fan seemed to be even more reluctant to watch Luo Yu die. Chapter 425. At the foot of the Zhong Mountain on the 11th floor of the Lightning Tower. The wind and rain were cold. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. A group of more than 200 undead spirits rushed to the valley of the Zhong Mountain. It was the palace of the Lightning Lord of the 11th floor, Zhu Feng. All of these 200 cultivators were at the Divine Transformation Realm and above. 6 of them were even at the Void Refinement Realm. However, the leader of this group of cultivators was definitely not a Void Refinement Realm cultivator. Instead, he was a white-robed young man at the Divine Transformation Realm. We're close. Ning Fan's eyes were calm. Even though he was about to fight against the strongest expert of the 11th floor, he did not have any worries. His physical body had broken through to the peak Jade Life Realm. With his corpse devil body, he could go head-on against a body cultivator at the first level of the Golden Body Realm and go head-on against a Void Glimpse stage old monster. After refining the immortal Emperor's fingerbone, Ning Fan thought that if he uses his sword finger now, its destructive power would probably be different from before. Even if it was just a drop of Mo Luo's blood and he had yet to completely refine it, Ning Fan would still be able to transform into his devil form. With the might of that drop of devil blood, Ning Fan could turn into his devil form and transform into the 4 forms of Mo Luo. During the short period of time he transformed, he could even fight against a Void Inquiry stage expert. However, since he had yet to completely refine Mo Luo's blood, there was a drawback when he used this blood devil form recklessly. Every time he demonized, Ning Fan would feel that his primordial spirit was turning black. The more times he demonized and the longer it lasted, the darker the color of his primordial spirit would be. That black color was devil nature. It would not be a problem if he had less devil nature. However, if too much devil nature was accumulated, Ning Fan would probably lose his mind and lose his emotions. Even though he would not become a cold-blooded and heartless person like the black primordial spirit, Ning Fan never liked to be influenced by external factors. He would not use the devil form if he could. Unless he completely devoured Mo Luo's blood and broke through to the golden body realm, Ning Fan would not have to worry about his devil form anymore. In the dark valley, a hidden formation light flashed. Tens of thousands of cultivators suddenly appeared. Each of them held a lightning crossbow and shot thousands of deadly lightning arrows at Ning Fan's direction. The lightning arrows were like rain. Being caught in the midst of the thunderstorm, they came even faster. Each of the lightning arrows was powerful enough to kill a nascent soul cultivator. Tens of thousands of them could even kill a soul formation cultivator in an instant. Despite there being so many lightning arrows, a group of cultivators could not slow down. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with indifference. He rolled up his sleeve. Even though it was just a casual wave of his hand, an unimaginably massive force was sent out. It was enough to shake mountains and rivers. The force of a single flick of his sleeve was already comparable to the full force attack of a Void Glimpse stage expert. The tremendous force caused the mountains and rivers to crumble. 10,000 lightning arrows were shattered into pieces. Tens of thousands of enemies who were hiding in the dark were all annihilated in a single strike. Only 7 panicked figures who were each at the half-step Void Refinement realm were lucky enough to survive. Retreat quickly. Report to the Lightning Lord. Zhou Ming has already killed his way to the foot of Zhong Mountain. None of the 17 layers of defense could stop him. 3 Void Glimpse stage commanders have already died in his hands. You think you can leave? Ning Fan's tone was indifferent. He raised his palm and a cold sword light that was as thin as a cicada's wing flashed and disappeared without a trace. Of the 7 enemies who had pierced. The next moment, the 7 enemies that. Of the of Qi of Fan of Ming. Of the palace. That sword light was too fast. It was even faster than the traveling speed of a Void Glimpse stage cultivator. Other than Void Inquiry stage experts, who else could defend against it? The sharpness of that sword light nearly ignored all the defenses of a Void Glimpse stage cultivator. The moment the sword light pierced through their bodies, millions upon millions of sword threads pierced out from their dantians. In just a flash, the 7 cultivators were minced by the sword threads and a mist of blood burst out. Ning Fan's expression remained unmoved. He had already killed 16 people like this on his way to the Lightning Palace of Zhong Mountain. This was the 17th time. There were already 400 Divine Transformation Realm cultivators who died in his hands, and 3 of them were Void Glimpse stage experts. Xiao Chun swallowed the primordial lightning into his stomach and refined it. He then put the Thunder Jades into his hand and tossed them to Lei Shi, who was behind him. Ning Fan's techniques were well practiced. Killing people and robbing their treasures was already a common occurrence for him. However, the expressions of the 6 Void Refinement Realm experts behind him, including Lei Shi, were so shocked that they became numb. This kid is so ruthless. Even a Void Pierce stage old monster wouldn't dare to do something like this. It would surely incur the wrath of the masses. Yet he actually dared to do it? Judging from his stance, this young man not only wants to kill his way into the Zhong Mountain and eliminate Zhu Feng, but he also wants to kill his way into the 24th floor and eliminate King Yinglong. Mo Feiyun was greatly shocked. He had seen many heroes in his life. Among them, Lei Shi was the one he admired the most. However, the one he feared the most was none other than Ning Fan, who was standing in front of him. I'm ashamed. Previously, I looked down on this young man and mocked him. Now, it seems like killing me is as easy as flipping his palm given his strength. It's definitely not an exaggeration to say that he is a Void Pierce stage expert. A sword of broad cold and the sword threads kill the enemy. I'm afraid that his cultivation base in the Tao of Sword is also not weak. Chu Nanfeng said in a self-deprecating manner. Lei Shi's eyes were filled with astonishment again and again. He already knew that Ning Fan was strong. However, he could also tell that Ning Fan was not as strong as he was 3 days ago. In the past, Ning Fan gave Lei Shi a feeling of natural restraint. That restraint originated from the Tai Su lightning star. Today, however, Ning Fan had 2 completely different types of aura force on him. Each of them was enough to make Lei Shi's heart palpitate and tremble. That kind of aura force makes me suffocate. Even a void fragmentation realm old monster shouldn't have such aura force. What exactly happened to this young man in the past 3 days? Lei Shi pondered. Along the way, Ning Fan almost took care of all the killings. After witnessing the deaths of 3 void glimpse stage experts, no one doubted that Ning Fan had the strength to kill Zhu Feng and resist King Ing Long. The Zhong Mountain Thunder Palace was already 1,000,000 miles away. Inside the Lightning Palace, the black-armored Lightning Lord, Zhu Feng, was sitting on his throne. His eyes were gloomy as he read the reports one after another. Outside of Mount Zhong, the experts of the 17 layers of defense, hundreds of thousands of people, were slaughtered in half a day. The identity of the newcomer had truly caught Zhu Feng by surprise. It was Ning Fan and the Myriad Treasure Pavilion. I didn't expect that Zhou Ming, who is being hunted by Lord King Ing Long, would still dare to come to my Lightning Palace and throw himself into the trap. How audacious of him! Could it be that he thinks that he can fight against a dignified Void Inquiry stage expert like me with his mere half-step Void Refinement Realm cultivation base? Ridiculous! And that 10,000 treasure pavilion, how audacious! This person lost to me 11 times. I originally thought that he would know the pros and cons and obediently hand over the Emperor Bone. I can't believe this bastard dares to provoke me again. If he dares to come to my Lightning Palace, I will certainly make him regret it. Zhu Feng's furious roar reverberated in the Lightning Palace for a long time. His Void Inquiry stage aura force was like a mountain or an ocean. It swept across the place, causing the air in the main hall to become unusually oppressive. Countless nascent soul realm and divine transformation realm experts fell to the ground as they could not withstand the pressure. Only the 9 Void Glimpse stage old monsters who were resisting Zhu Feng's aura force could remain calm. Don't worry, Lightning Lord. There are 10 Void Refinement Realm experts like us guarding the Lightning Palace. Even if Zhou Ming and the Myriad Treasure Pavilion have 3 heads and 6 arms, they will still be courting death if they dare to come here. An old man with a mouse-like beard, Maran Wang, mocked with his bead-like eyes. His name was Marun. He did not put Ning Fan and the others in his eyes at all. The other 8 Void Glimpse stage experts also did not put Ning Fan in their eyes. Therefore, they strongly agreed with what the mouse-bearded old man said. That's right. Fellow Taoist Ma is right. If that Zhou Ming comes to the Lightning Palace, he will certainly die. Don't be fooled by the fact that he killed so many people along the way with great momentum. However, that was mostly because he relied on the Myriad Treasure Pavilion and the 3 Void Glimpse stage spiritual puppets. After all, he is just a half-step Void Refinement Realm expert. There has never been a half-step Void Refinement Realm expert who can kill a Void Glimpse stage expert who has a higher cultivation base than him. It's fine if this young man doesn't enter the Lightning Palace. If he does, Li Gui will be the first one to kill him. Another tall and sturdy Void Glimpse stage expert echoed. For a moment, the main hall was filled with the laughter of refuting and ridiculing Ning Fan and the others. At this moment, a cold voice suddenly resounded in the entire Lightning Palace of the Zhong Mountain like 10,000 years of ice. It was as if 1,000 mountains were pressing down on them. It sounded like millions of thunderbolts exploding in the ears of the cultivators of the Lightning Palace. At the next moment, all the cultivators below the Void Refinement Realm felt their eardrums bleeding and their sea of consciousness was in extreme pain. As for the Void Refinement Realm old monsters including Zhu Feng, they felt their chi stagnating. They felt uncomfortable and their expressions changed. Who says that I, Zhou Ming, don't dare to come? The voice was filled with an earth-shattering might. Putting aside Ning Fan's cultivation base, Just the might of this voice alone was enough to suppress ordinary divine transformation realm cultivators. All of a sudden, the entire lightning palace of the Zhong mountain fell into chaos and chaos. At the next moment, the entire mountain range of the Zhong mountain trembled under the night sky that was filled with lightning and rain. Countless undead spirits escaped from the lightning palace and looked into the distance. All of them sucked in a cold breath. There were only 200 cultivators standing at the foot of the Zhong mountain. All of them were at the Divine Transformation Realm and above. In front of the Divine Transformation Realm cultivators, there were also 6 Void Refinement Realm experts including Lei Shi and 3 Void Glimpse stage spiritual puppets. No one could stop them from killing them. However, the most frightening thing was definitely not these Void Refinement Realm experts but a white-robed young man. That young man walked forward with his hands clasped behind his back. Each of his steps seemed to be casual, but the force he exerted was comparable to that of a gold body realm cultivator. A single step of his was enough to shake the great momentum of the mountains and rivers. The rumbling sound that shook the mountains and rivers was made by this person. That cold question that suppressed countless cultivators of the Lightning Palace was also made by this person. He was Ning Fan. Kill him. Tens of thousands of nascent soul realm undead spirits with low spiritual intelligence charged at Ning Fan from behind without any regard for their lives. At this moment, Ning Fan turned his head abruptly. His cold eyes pierced through the night sky like a bolt of cold lightning, falling into the eyes of countless undead spirits. Those nascent soul realm undead spirits with low spiritual intelligence felt their souls trembling. They could not help but feel fearful. What a ferocious gaze! He was a devil that had gone through a sea of blood. Even if they were undead creatures without any spiritual intelligence, they would still be afraid of his gaze, let alone their low spiritual intelligence. Get lost! Ning Fan shouted. Under the tremendous strength that was comparable to the gold body realm, the power of his cold voice was much more terrifying than any devil voice at the divine transformation realm. A black sound wave came out from Ning Fan's mouth. With a tremor, the physical bodies of tens of thousands of nascent soul realm undead spirits crumbled and they died miserably. Ning Fan could not resist a single gaze from Mo Luo. As for these nascent soul realm undead spirits, they also could not resist a single shout from Ning Fan. Ning Fan was far from being a strong cultivator, but these nascent soul realm undead spirits were even weaker. Who says that I, Zhou Ming, will definitely die once I enter the Lightning Palace? At this moment, Ning Fan's gaze swept across the Lightning Palace and he took a step forward. With a tremendous force, the vast sky collapsed. The Lightning Palace that stretched for 100 li crumbled into rubble. One after another, the Divine Transformation Realm and Void Refinement Realm experts appeared. However, among this group of experts, only Ma Renwang and Li Gui were being stared at by Ning Fan. Under Ning Fan's intense gaze, the 2 dignified Void Glimpse stage old monsters felt a chill down their spines. They sensed an extremely dangerous omen. Without any time to think, Ning Fan put on the heaven-deceiving cloak and vanished without a trace. At the next moment, a strange figure appeared in front of the 2 of them without any warning. A cold sword light pierced through Ma Renwang's dantian. He threw a punch at Li Gui's chest. When the punch was thrown, Li Gui's chest armor was shattered. He was already severely injured. His eyes were filled with fear. He could not see how Ning Fan concealed himself and how he appeared in front of him. Moreover, he could not understand why the destructive power of Ning Fan's punch was stronger than his full-force attack. When Ma Renwang drew his sword, tens of thousands of sword threads intertwined with each other. Without giving Ma Renwang any chance to think, the billions of sword threads had already minced his primordial spirit to death. Ning Fan directly launched a sneak attack against 2 Void Glimpse stage experts. However, one of them was killed and the other was injured. Zhu Feng, fight me! Ning Fan took a step forward. Under the pressure of his aura force, countless enemy cultivators did not dare to resist him and retreated like a receding tide. Even Zhu Feng was intimidated by Ning Fan's aura force, which injured 2 of them in a row. He actually did not dare to resist Ning Fan's ferocious aura force and took half a step back. His expression changed greatly. The Ning Fan in the rumors definitely did not have the strength to kill and injure Void Glimpse stage old monsters in an instant. This young man is different from the information we received. Why is he so strong? This is absolutely impossible. Zhu Feng's eyes were filled with astonishment. It was his first time feeling the threat of death from a half-step Void Refinement Realm cultivator. Chapter 426. 200 Semigod Realm warriors fought their way into Mount Zhong, leaving a sea of blood along the way. This matter had already alarmed all the dead spirits on the 11th floor. Sword lights that transmitted sound were either sent to the upper realm or to the lower realm. The expressions of the 10 Void Refinement Stage beings and 1,000 Deity Transformation Stage beings who were waiting at the teleportation formations on the 9th and 10th levels changed drastically after receiving this information. They were tricked by Ning Fan. They were waiting for Ning Fan to walk into their trap at the teleportation formation. Even though Ning Fan had eliminated the 2 Void Glimpse Stage experts of the Lightning Palace on the 10th floor, they never left the teleportation formation. It was because they felt that Ning Fan attacking the Lightning Palace on the 10th floor was certainly just a diversion. He wanted to lure them away from the teleportation formation so that he could escape to the 9th floor. However, they did not expect that Ning Fan would charge towards the higher floors instead. The most surprising thing was that Ning Fan even dared to openly challenge the Void Inquiry Stage Lightning Lord on the 11th floor. A Void Inquiry Stage old monster could defeat several Void Glimpse Stage experts and instantly kill countless half-step Void Refinement Realm experts. Ning Fan's cultivation base was only at the half-step Void Refinement Realm. His action of challenging Zhu Feng really made these old monsters feel that it was ridiculous. This kid is so arrogant. When I was not in the Lightning Palace on the 10th floor, he actually killed 2 of my Void Glimpse Stage subordinates. I have yet to settle this score with him, but he actually sought his own death by attacking the Lightning Palace on the Zhong Mountain on the 11th floor. He is purely seeking death. The Lightning Lord of the 10th floor felt indignant. That day, he had led his army to chase after Ning Fan, but Ning Fan managed to escape with a strange concealing technique and even killed 2 of his Void Glimpse Stage subordinates. This matter had always been a thorn in his heart. A half-step Void Refinement Realm expert challenging a Void Inquiry Stage expert is no different from courting death. It's just that I don't understand why the Myriad Treasure Pavilion would attack Zhu Feng together with this brat. What kind of price did this brat pay to invite Lei Shi? A Void Glimpse Stage old monster's eyes were filled with bewilderment. In his impression, Lei Shi was the strongest person on the 11th floor of the Lightning Tower other than the Lightning Lord, Zhu Feng. However, Lei Shi had a strange personality. He only cared about his own interests and rarely formed friendships with others. He would not risk his life for anyone. Why would someone like Lei Shi offend Zhu Feng for a half-step Void Refinement Realm Junior? Humph. This lad was too arrogant. This time he was going to die in Mount Zhong. The wind and rain of Mount Zhong was a celestial phenomenon grand formation constructed by a Void Pierce Stage formation master tens of thousands of years ago. It's fine if we don't activate it, but once we do, no matter how powerful that Zhou Ming's invisibility art is, he will not be able to hide. Moreover, he might even be killed by the Great Formation. If he attacks Zhu Feng, he will definitely die at Zhong Mountain. There is no doubt about it. There is no longer any meaning in us staying here and waiting for him to walk right into our trap. Fellow Taoist Qin is right. We should hurry to the 11th level and head to the Lightning Palace of Mount Zhong as soon as possible. We'll kill this brat at Mount Zhong. This is a great merit that will definitely satisfy King Yinglong. This merit cannot be taken by Thunder Master Zhu Feng alone. After discussing for a while, the 10 Void Refinement Realm experts abandoned the defense of this place and led the Divine Transformation Realm army to the 11th floor. They thought that they could fight for merit, but they didn't know that their actions were just rushing to be reincarnated. On the 11th floor, other than the Zhong Mountain Thunder Palace and the 10,000 Treasure Pavilion, there were many other powerful forces. Even though there were no other Void Inquiry Stage old monsters, there were still 5 to 6 Void Glimpse stage experts. These Void Glimpse stage experts did not belong to the 10,000 Treasure Pavilion or the Lightning Palace. They did not work for King Yinglong, but they did not have the intention to help the 10,000 Treasure Pavilion either. They were just watching the battle on Mount Zhong with cold eyes. To be more precise, they were not just watching the battle from the sidelines. They also had the intention to take advantage of the situation. The 5 old monsters stood at the foot of Mount Zhong from afar. They secretly released their spirit sense and observed the situation. On Lei Shi's side, there is 1 Void Inquiry stage expert and 8 Void Glimpse stage experts. As for Zhu Feng's side, there is 1 Void Inquiry stage expert and 9 Void Glimpse stage experts. In the past thousands of years, Lei Shi had lost to Zhu Feng 11 times. This time, I'm afraid he will still lose. Lei Shi has always been a shrewd businessman. I didn't expect that he would actually be bewitched by a Divine Transformation Realm Junior in the end and come to fight Zhu Feng to the death. This time, I'm afraid no one can mediate the enmity between him and Zhu Feng. The one who said this was a Void Glimpse stage expert who wanted to take advantage of the situation. When he said this, Ning Fan had yet to instantly kill or injure the 2 Void Glimpse stage experts. Fellow Taoist, he is right. Lei Shi will certainly lose this time. He might even die here. Putting aside the fact that Zhu Feng is far stronger than him, the Zhong Mountain has that immortal void grand formation. It's definitely not something that Lei Shi can resist. However, whether Lei Shi is defeated or dead, what does it have to do with us? The reason why we came here is just to steal something in passing. Fellow Taoist, Wen's words are exactly what I want to hear. In such a large-scale battle between Void Refinement Realm experts, I'm afraid 1 or 2 Void Refinement Realm experts will die. Once a Void Refinement Realm undead spirit dies, golden jades will definitely be produced. At that time, it will be up to our own capabilities to snatch the golden jades. The reason why these 5 Void Glimpse stage old monsters came here to watch the battle was not with good intentions in the first place. They did not have the intention to intervene in the battle, and they also did not think that the 10,000 Treasure Pavilion would win. However, at the next moment, they were deeply shocked. Each of their eyes widened to the size of a camel's bell. The 5 Void Glimpse stage old monsters cried out involuntarily. Impossible! It's absolutely impossible! The reason why they cried out was because Ning Fan and the other 200 experts who had just entered the Zhong Mountain had given them an unexpected shock. In just one encounter, Ning Fan turned invisible, moved stealthily and merged his fist and sword into one to launch a sneak attack on 2 Void Glimpse stage experts, directly killing one of them and injuring the other. Maran Wang was dead. His movement technique could be said to be unparalleled on the 11th floor. However, he was actually killed by Ning Fan with a single sword strike. He did not even have the chance to escape. What kind of sword is that? It was so sharp and the sword light was so fast. The destructive power of a single sword strike could generate billions of sword threads which could kill a Void Glimpse stage expert. Unless they had set up a defense beforehand, none of the Void Glimpse stage experts who were ambushed would be able to survive. Li Gui was severely injured by a single punch. That old monster Li Gui was a genuine peak Jade Life Realm cultivator. His body technique had almost reached the bottleneck of the Golden Body Realm. However, he was sent flying away by Ning Fan's punch and was severely injured. No one expected that Ning Fan had already launched a domineering attack when the 10,000 Treasure Pavilion had just entered the Zhong Mountain, killing and injuring a Void Glimpse stage expert. On the side of the 10,000 Treasure Pavilion, there were 9 Void Refinement Realm experts and a ferocious Ning Fan whose strength was above an ordinary Void Glimpse stage expert. As for the Lightning Palace of the Zhong Mountain, after one of the 2 Void Glimpse stage experts died and the other was injured, there were only 8 of them who remained unharmed. The scale of victory seemed to be tilting towards the 10,000 Treasure Pavilion. This young man is just a half-step Void Refinement Realm cultivator. Why is he so strong? Moreover, he actually dared to challenge Zhu Feng. Doesn't he know that Zhu Feng is a dignified Void Inquiry stage old monster whose strength is completely different from a Void Glimpse stage expert? The 5 of them were shocked and doubtful, but none of them dared to laugh at Ning Fan's arrogance. It was because they saw with their own eyes that when Ning Fan challenged Zhu Feng actually took half a step back instinctively. A hint of fear actually grew in his heart. Ning Fan flicked his sleeve and devoured Ma Renwang's primordial lightning. Then, he kept the golden lightning jade that was formed after his death. He had long noticed that there were 5 void glimpse stage experts spying on him in the dark. Therefore, the reason why he attacked the 2 void glimpse stage experts forcefully was not just to weaken Zhu Feng's force but also to create a shocking effect so that the 5 of them would retreat in fear of disrupting the battle. With Ning Fan's current strength, it was far from enough to kill a void glimpse stage expert instantly. Ma Renwang's death was purely because of Ning Fan's sneak attack. The concealment effect of the heaven-deceiving cloak was astounding. The sharpness of the Separation Slayer sword was not something that Ma Renwang could withstand. Under the sneak attack, how could he not die? As for the punch that injured the malicious ghost, it was Ning Fan's true strength. Even if it was a sneak attack and a full-powered attack that was comparable to the strength of a golden body refining body, it would only severely injure the malicious ghost. However, who could say that it was not a kind of ability since he could successfully launch a sneak attack, conceal himself and kill someone? Zhu Feng, fight with me. Ning Fan's eyes indifferently swept across the 8 void refinement realm experts including Zhu Feng. The malicious ghost was severely injured and unconscious. Only the 8 of them could continue fighting. When Ning Fan's gaze swept past him, even Zhu Feng could not help but take half a step back despite being several tens of thousands of zhang away. He did not dare to resist Ning Fan's aura force as fear lingered in his heart. He actually could not see through the concealment effect of the heaven-deceiving cloak at all. This was just too unreasonable. If Ning Fan's sneak attack was not on Ma Renwang but on him, Zhu Feng, even if he did not die, he would be severely injured. This is profound divinity spiritual equipment. Impossible. Only void fragmentation realm old monsters can refine such a grade of spiritual equipment. How can this young man control such a supreme treasure? Zhu Feng's heart skipped a beat. He realized that he had underestimated Ning Fan from the very beginning. No, it should be said that even King Ying Long had underestimated Ning Fan. He was a monster who could refine profound divinity spiritual equipment with just his divine transformation realm cultivation base. With this spiritual equipment, he could launch a sneak attack or retreat 1,000 li away. Who would be able to find him and kill him? In that case, I must not give this young man another chance to conceal himself and launch a sneak attack. As long as I can break his concealment, no matter how heaven-defying his techniques are, how can he be my match? As for that Lei Shi, there's nothing to be afraid of. Activate the formation. Zhu Feng's mind raced. His eyes gradually calmed down. The trace of fear that he had towards Ning Fan in the beginning was also dispelled. He patted his storage pouch and took out a green formation plate. As soon as he activated the formation plate, the entire foothills of Zhong Mountain shook violently. A ray of formation light that was comparable to an immortal void realm suddenly flashed across the night sky like a startled swan. As the formation light covered the sky, a strange feeling emerged in Ning Fan's heart. Then, Ning Fan realized that the heaven-deceiving cloak could no longer be used in this immortal void realm formation light. Immortal void realm formation light. This formation is a little mysterious. It's not a life and death formation. Before I entered the valley, I vaguely sensed that this thunderstorm was a formation. However, it's just an auxiliary formation to break the concealment formation. Therefore, I didn't pay much attention to it. However, he did not expect the thunderstorm formation to be at the immortal void realm. With this immortal void formation, I won't be able to use the heaven-deceiving cloak at will. Can't you ambush people anymore? However, Ning Fan did not care whether he could launch a sneak attack or not. After all, sneak attacks were just small tricks. After he ambushed Ma Renwang once, all the Void Glimpse stage enemies had activated all of their defenses. Even without the Grand Formation, it would not be easy for Ning Fan to succeed in his sneak attack. Moreover, he didn't need a sneak attack. Step by step, he approached Zhu Feng, who was 100,000 feet away from him. This scene had greatly exceeded Zhu Feng's expectations. Initially, Zhu Feng thought that the reason why Ning Fan dared to challenge him was because of his confidence in the heaven-deceiving cloak. As long as his concealment is broken, Ning Fan would have nothing to fear. However, after activating the formation light and getting rid of his concealment, Ning Fan did not seem to be bothered at all. Instead, he still had a confident look on his face. Where does this young man's confidence come from? Does he really think that a half-step void refinement realm cultivator can be so heaven-defying that he can kill a void inquiry stage expert? As the Lightning Lord of the 11th floor, Zhu Feng was also a person who had experienced life and death situations for a long time. Thus, he was quite proud of himself. He definitely did not believe that he would lose to a junior. Thus, he also took a step forward, intending to accept Ning Fan's challenge. Both of their auras soared. However, they were interrupted by a third aura force. Little friend Zhou, can you give Zhu Feng to me? I have an irreconcilable grudge with this person. Moreover, I've lost to him 11 times. I won't lose to him again in this 12th battle. The person who stopped them from fighting was actually Lei Shi. Ning Fan stared at Lei Shi deeply. With his keen observation, he could tell that the current Lei Shi was not any weaker than Zhu Feng. It seemed like there was a grudge between Lei Shi and Zhu Feng. As such, Ning Fan was willing to give Zhu Feng to Lei Shi and left, leaving Lei Shi alone to confront Zhu Feng. As Ning Fan left, Zhu Feng somehow felt relieved. It was as if he subconsciously felt that Ning Fan was more dangerous than Lei Shi. Lei Shi, you still dare to provoke me? Have you forgotten where your name, Lei Shi, came from? Ah, how could I forget? On the day when my wife was devoured by you, I tried to assassinate you 11 times. I failed 11 times and I almost lost my life 11 times. I gave up my name, Lei Tong. Every time I lost, I changed my name. Lei 1, Lei 2, Lei Shi. However, you don't have to worry. You won't have the chance to change my name to Lei Shi. Lei Shi's eyes became serious for the first time. His blood-red eyes were filled with monstrous hatred and anger. You won't have the chance to become Lei Shi because today, you must die. The one who will die is you. Lei Shi took a step forward and his fist collided with Zhu Feng's. As soon as they collided, the mountains and rivers cracked. Lightning and rain rolled across the heavens and violent winds howled furiously. Zhu Feng retreated 1,000 steps while Lei Shi retreated 900 steps. Judging from the distance he retreated, Lei Shi was actually stronger than Zhu Feng. Impossible! Zhu Feng could not believe that Lei Shi, who had been shrewd in business for 1,000 years, had actually cultivated to such an extent in secret. Hatred would always be the scariest motivation for people to grit their teeth and move forward. Zhu Feng had underestimated Lei Shi too much. Chu Nanfeng and the other 4 Void Glimpse stage experts plus the 3 spiritual puppets were already fighting against 7 Void Glimpse stage experts of the Lightning Palace. Li Gui had already been saved by an old monster. He managed to suppress his injuries and was fighting against one of the spiritual puppets to vent his anger. After all, the spiritual puppets were inanimate objects while Li Gui was really not weak. If Ning Fan did not sneak attack him, he would definitely not be seriously injured by Ning Fan's punch. Since Zhou Ming injured me, I will destroy his spiritual puppets. Do you feel proud of venting your anger on someone else's spiritual puppets? You, go over there. Ning Fan, who was dressed in white robes, was supposed to be at Zhu Feng's battlefield. Now, however, he suddenly appeared in front of Li Gui. After giving an order to the spiritual puppet, it immediately abandoned Li Gui and went to meet the other 2 spiritual puppets. The other 2 spiritual puppets were also being ravaged by the 2 Void Refinement Realm experts. However, with the addition of the 3rd spiritual puppet, the situation became even. Li Gui's eyes turned grim. He was just about to use his ultimate move to kill the spiritual puppets. However, at this moment, Ning Fan came to disturb him again. When he thought of how he was seriously injured by Ning Fan's punch just now, his eyes became even colder. Young man, your invisibility technique has already been broken by the Lightning Lord. You no longer have the possibility of sneaking an attack on me. Even though I am severely injured, I just happen to be proficient in a type of secret technique. The more injured I am, the more powerful it will be. It is called Nirvana technique. It evolved from the Nirvana devil veins and its power is extraordinary. In less than 10 breaths, I will certainly kill you. Li Gui spurted out several mouthfuls of blood essence. The injuries on his body became even more serious. His wounds festered faster and pus and blood oozed out from them. However, the aura force inside his body began to rise rapidly. It was obviously a secret technique that could increase his magic power by using his injuries. After his aura force increased, the severely injured Li Gui was at least 1 to 2 times stronger than when he was at his peak. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with contemplation. This Nirvana technique sounds a little familiar. Nirvana devil veins. Isn't that the devil veins of Moksha Sovereign? Using his injuries to exchange for a technique? What a disgusting secret technique. The Nirvana technique uses his injuries to exchange for a technique and sacrifices himself. It is the true understanding of the Buddhism sect. This secret technique evolved from the Nirvana devil veins. In other words, Moksha Sovereign also has the ability to exchange his injuries for a technique. The more injured he is, the stronger he will become. Perhaps the injuries that I used to ambush him in the past will only make him stronger. For Nirvana, you gave up your obsession to achieve the supreme Nirvana body. I, on the other hand, held on to my obsession and gave up my Nirvana to achieve the 4 forms of me and cultivate the Tao of defying Buddha. The first form, the art of me. Ning Fan changed his hand's seal and golden light shone brightly around his body. A figure suddenly split into 2 within the golden light. One was his true shadow while the other was a golden shadow. The true shadow was Ning Fan himself. The golden shadow's appearance was exactly the same as his, but it was dressed like an arhat. Moreover, the strength of the physical body of that golden shadow was actually at the first level of the golden body refining realm. The art of me is to use a supreme spirit sense to create countless true selves. With my current cultivation of this technique, it's only enough for me to split into 2 golden silhouettes during a battle. These golden shadows can be used and condensed immediately. After the technique is completed, the golden shadow will only last for the time it takes for an incense stick to burn before it dissipates. However, within this incense stick's time, unless the golden shadow receives a fatal attack, it will not suffer any injuries. Second shadow appear. Ning Fan formed another hand seal and another golden shadow separated from his body. 1 man and 2 shadows surrounded Li Gui. All of a sudden, the sneer on Li Gui's face froze and his expression changed drastically. Impossible! What technique is this? Why is it so heaven-defying that it can actually create shadows of the golden body refining realm? This young man has obviously not mastered this technique yet. If he succeeds in cultivating this technique and can create hundreds or thousands of golden shadows, even void fragmentation realm old monsters will have to avoid him. Boom boom boom. Without giving Li Gui any time to think, 1 man and 2 shadows sent out 3 rays of fist light. All of them were at the first level of the golden body refining realm. The aftershock of the fist force shattered layers of the hollow space. Like a pile of mud, Li Gui was sent flying 10,000 li away. His injuries were already extremely severe. He wanted to escape. He was afraid. Even if he had the Nirvana technique that could exchange injuries for techniques, it still depended on what kind of injuries he suffered. Being hit by such a powerful fist radiance, the injuries caused were almost fatal. Under such circumstances, how would Li Gui dare to aggravate his injuries? The so-called secret technique would be destroyed on its own. Trying to escape? 3 figures appeared beside Li Gui like ghosts and surrounded him. Another 3 attacks that were comparable to the golden body refining realm landed on Li Gui's body. A miserable shriek came from Li Gui's mouth, shocking the entire battlefield. Countless old monsters turned their heads to look, and all of them were shocked. After Li Gui threatened Ning Fan to kill him within 10 breaths, he died in Ning Fan's hands in just 2 breaths' time. There was still a long time before the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. As long as Ning Fan's golden shadow did not disperse, he alone could fight against 3 void glimpse stage experts. Other than Zhu Feng, who else could stop him? This was Ning Fan's first time using the self-manifestation technique. He was extremely satisfied with it. If he can cultivate this technique to the point where he could create 1,000 or even 10,000 shadows in the future, his combat power alone would be comparable to 10,000 Void Refinement Realm experts. He would definitely be able to fight against a Void Fragmentation Realm expert. Chapter 427. The condensed golden shadows could last for the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. To Ning Fan, there were too many things he could do in that time. With a flash of traveling light, he went straight towards the other 2 Void Glimpse stage experts of the Lightning Palace who were fighting against the spiritual puppets like lightning. The fact that Ning Fan could split out 2 golden shadows and kill the malicious ghost within 2 breaths had already shocked all the undead spirits. Even Zhu Feng, who was having a hard time fighting against Lei Shi, could not help but feel fearful. What kind of magic technique is that? It can actually create golden shadows. This technique is so heaven-defying. It's impossible for it to be unknown. Why have I never heard of it before? The same thought also appeared in Lei Shi's mind. However, he already knew that Ning Fan was a living being. Thus, he was not as shocked as Zhu Feng. Judging from Ning Fan's lack of proficiency in this magic technique, he must have just mastered it not long ago. Judging from the fluctuation of the technique, Lei Shi vaguely felt that it was familiar. He already had a conclusion in his mind and said with a bitter smile, "I can't be wrong. This technique is recorded in the inheritance crystal. Even though I can't open the crystal with my undead spirit body, I can still sense its contents. Even if I can't see through it, I can still remember a trace of magic power fluctuation within it. This technique is so heaven-defying. It seems like I've been taken advantage of again. However, there's nothing I can do about it. I can't activate this technique for thousands of years in my hands. However, it can be used in his hands. This is also the result of luck. My luck is far less than this young man's." Even the 2 Void Inquiry stage experts were stunned by this technique. How could the other Void Glimpse stage experts not know how powerful it was? A single golden body was already comparable to a Void Glimpse stage expert. With 2 illusory golden bodies and Ning Fan, who already possessed heaven-defying strength, who could stop him in this lightning palace of the Zhong Mountain? Yan Daozi and Gu Feng were attacking the 3 spiritual puppets together. Both of them were relatively weak among the Void Refinement Realm experts of the Lightning Palace. They only dared to bully the spiritual puppets. Both of them were proficient in joint attacks. Even though they were 2 against 3, they gradually gained the upper hand. However, before the 2 of them could feel proud of themselves, they were shocked to find that the malicious ghost had fallen. Then, they realized that Ning Fan, who had just killed the malicious ghost, was rushing towards them at lightning speed with intense baleful chi. Not good. Both of their hearts shuddered. Each of them summoned their strongest magic treasures and attacked Ning Fan's head. At the same time, they left the 3 puppets behind and fled without even turning their heads back. The 2 Void Glimpse stage experts actually did not have the courage to resist him. In the state of 1 man and 2 shadows, Ning Fan's combat power was equivalent to that of 3 Void Glimpse stage experts. He could kill a Void Glimpse stage expert instantly. Who would dare to fight against him? One of the magic treasures that the 2 of them took out was a flying lightning sword. It was a low-grade mortal void magic treasure. When it was flying, only lightning could be seen, but not the shadow of the sword could be seen. It was enough to show how fast the sword was. The other treasure was a 5 light stone. It was also a low-grade mortal void realm treasure. As soon as he activated it, it immediately turned into millions of 5-colored mountains that fell on Ning Fan's head. The magic treasure is not bad. Unfortunately, all of you can't leave. Boom, boom. As soon as Ning Fan's words fell, the 2 golden Arhat shadows took a step forward and threw a golden fist light at the 2 treasures in the sky. The strength of their fists was enough to shatter the heavens and crack the earth. The hollow space collapsed and mountains and rivers collapsed. The flying lightning sword was sent flying by the punch, and the 5 light stone was sent flying by the punch. The 2 golden shadows also suffered some injuries after getting their magic treasures blown away. However, these injuries were not fatal. At the next moment, the 2 golden shadows shone with golden light and their injuries were healed. After their injuries were healed, the 2 golden shadows waved their hands at the same time and grabbed the flying lightning sword and the 5 light stone respectively. With a flash of golden light, they erased the marks of the magic treasures and forcefully devoured them for their own use. What? Before the 2 of them could escape far away, they sensed that the attacks of their magic treasures were broken. When they saw the scene of the golden shadows healing themselves, their faces turned pale with fright. The injuries of the golden shadows healed themselves. Unless they deliver a fatal blow, no one could kill them. These golden shadows were too strange. They could actually erase the marks of their magic treasures and snatch their magic treasures for their own use. Trying to escape? Ning Fan summoned his Fu Li wings. In a flash, he was slightly faster than the 2 of them and blocked their path of retreat. Both of his fists carried a force that could shake mountains and rivers. They landed on the chests of the 2 golden shadows, producing a series of loud cracking sounds. Puff! The 2 of them spurted out blood at the same time. After receiving the tremendous force of Ning Fan's punch, their injuries were not light. Even though they were not instantly killed by Ning Fan, the 3 spiritual puppets and the 2 golden shadows took the opportunity to attack them from all directions. In an instant, Yan Daozi and Gu Feng were already surrounded by the 6 of them. 1 human, 2 shadows and 3 spiritual puppets all threw out punches. 6 void glimpse stage attacks were enough to flatten the Zhong Mountain. When the attacks landed in front of Yan Daozi and Gu Feng, they could not defend themselves at all. Boom boom boom, their punches landed on the protective treasure light. The 2 of them could only endure it with all their might. How could they have the strength to fight back? As time passed, the 2 of them gradually could not hold on any longer. 10 punches. Their armor was shattered. 100 punches. Their physical bodies were riddled with thousands of holes. Their muscles and bones were all broken and their blood flowed like a river. 1,000 punches. Their primordial spirits were destroyed by the rays of fist light. After 2 miserable shrieks, the 2 of them finally died after holding on for the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. Relying on the 2 shadows and 3 spiritual puppets, Ning Fan killed 2 more of them. 2 traces of primordial lightning and 2 pieces of golden jade were kept in his pouch. All the undead spirits at the scene were extremely shocked by Ning Fan's ferocious might. The 5 void glimpse stage experts who were watching from afar all felt an irresistible aura force coming from Ning Fan's body. The spiritual puppets belong to this young man. The golden shadows are transformed from this young man. This means that his combat power alone is comparable to 6 void glimpse stage experts. Manweng, Lige, Yan Daozi and Gu Feng. In just a short period of time, this young man has already killed 4 void glimpse stage experts in a row. His means are shocking. No one can stop him. Retreat quickly. This place is definitely not a place to stay for long. The 5 of them exchanged glances with each other. None of them had the intention to take advantage of Ning Fan anymore. All of them turned into wisps of smoke and fled for their lives. They no longer cared about the outcome of the battle on the Zhong Mountain. Their fear of Ning Fan had already reached an extreme level. When the time it takes for an incense stick to burn was up, the golden shadows dissipated. After losing the 2 golden shadows, Ning Fan would not be able to use the aspect of self-technique again within a short period of time. However, Ning Fan currently had 1 human and 3 spiritual puppets with him. Thus, he was still unrivaled among void glimpse stage experts. There were still 5 void glimpse stage experts left in the lightning palace of the Zhong Mountain. They were fighting against Chu Nanfeng and the other void glimpse stage experts of the Myriad Treasure Pavilion. In the beginning, they were still able to fight evenly with Chu Nanfeng and the others. However, as Ning Fan killed a few of them in a row, fear grew in their hearts and they lost their sense of propriety. Gradually, they began to show signs of losing the upper hand. This young man is only at the half-step void refinement realm, but he is already so powerful. If he advances to the void refinement realm, even if he is just a void glimpse stage expert, he will certainly be unrivaled among void glimpse stage experts. No, if he attains the void glimpse stage, I'm afraid he will even dare to fight against a void inquiry stage expert. While the five of them were deep in thought, they were suddenly startled. They sensed 4 whistling rays of formation light approaching them from afar like Yama Kings. It was none other than Ning Fan and his 3 spiritual puppets. Not good. The void glimpse stage expert of the Lightning Palace who was fighting against Mo Feiyun could not react in time and was already attacked by Ning Fan. The 3 spiritual puppets threw out punches at him at the same time, breaking all of his defenses. Ning Fan then raised his hand and swung his sword, using the Separation Slayer sword to take his life, piercing into his dantian. At the next moment, billions of sword threads were drawn out and destroyed his primordial spirit. He devoured the primordial lightning and absorbed the golden jade. Fellow Taoist Zhou, thank you for your help. Mo Feiyun's eyes were filled with complicated emotions. The opponent whom he needed to fight with his full strength was instantly killed by Ning Fan. This huge difference in strength made him realize how strong Ning Fan was. Ning Fan nodded his head. In a flash, he flew towards Chu Nanfeng's battlefield. Chu Nanfeng's opponent was an undead spirit who possessed demon blood. He was currently transforming into the demon form of a black dragon and showing off his strength. This person's demon blood was impure. The demon form that he transformed into was also extremely clumsy. Even so, the strength of the black dragon's demon form made Chu Nanfeng unable to defeat him. While they were engaged in a bitter battle, they suddenly saw 4 rays of light approaching them from afar. That black dragon was quite proud of himself for suppressing Chu Nanfeng. When he saw Ning Fan and the others approaching him, even though he was filled with fear, his mouth was still filled with disdain. Arrogant brat. Do you really think that you are comparable to a void refinement realm expert just by relying on the power of your spiritual puppets and illusions? How ridiculous! Black Dragon Heaven Devouring Technique. The black dragon opened his gigantic mouth. The power of the void was generated in his mouth. It was like a chaotic black hole, trying to devour Ning Fan in a single gulp. This technique was most likely another secret technique of the Black Dragon clan. However, the black dragon in front of him was probably the clumsiest user of this technique in the history of the Black Dragon clan. Collapse! Ning Fan only uttered a single word and clawed with his 5 fingers. However, it was as if it was enough to tear heaven and earth apart. The void within the black dragon's mouth was torn into pieces by Ning Fan just like that, breaking the technique head-on. But how could the black dragon feel good after his magic technique was forcefully broken? He kept coughing out blood. He looked at Ning Fan and actually felt a chill that originated from his bloodline. At this moment, his mind was calm. Only then did he gradually sense a suffocating aura force of demon blood from Ning Fan's body. He did not know where he got his black dragon blood from. After refining it a little, it turned out to be extremely clumsy. However, the demon blood in Ning Fan's body was pure and supreme. The black dragon had never seen such a strong bloodline in his life. Even King Ing Long, who was rumored to possess the true bloodline of the yellow dragon, definitely did not have the aura force of Ning Fan's bloodline. Without giving the black dragon too much time to think, Ning Fan directly rose into the air. In a flash of light, he stood on top of the black dragon's head. At such a close distance, Ning Fan fully released the aura force of his ancestral blood. The black dragon actually could not resist it at all. It was as if it was directly immobilized and fell into a daze. The black dragon's bloodline was incomplete while Ning Fan's bloodline was ancestral. The difference between their bloodlines was just too huge. With just his bloodline, Ning Fan could suppress the black dragon. If he did not have such deterrence force, how could he match his identity as the old ancestor of the Fu Li clan? Ning Fan's eyes flashed with a hint of joy that was hard to notice. Black Dragon Heaven Devouring Technique? This technique is not bad. It seems to be a secret technique of the Black Dragon clan that allows high-grade bloodlines to devour low-grade bloodlines. This technique is not difficult to master. However, only the bloodline of the black dragon with royal bloodline or above can unleash its true power. This technique could not only devour black dragons but also all the dragons in the world. In ancient times, the reason why the black dragons were so domineering was because they could forcefully devour the corpses of other dragons to strengthen themselves. This was the meaning of the saying, when the 5 dragons die, the black dragon will live. What do I have to do for you to let me go? As long as you let me go, I am willing to switch sides and help you kill Zhu Feng. The black dragon begged. Let you go? Ridiculous. Even though your bloodline is inferior, your cultivation base is at the void glimpse stage. Since that's the case, I shouldn't waste it. Ning Fan patted his storage pouch and took out the black dragon refined corpse that he had not used for a long time. He made a hand seal and controlled the dragon corpse to enlarge its body. Then, it opened its mouth to form the void space and swallowed the black dragon with the incomplete bloodline. Oh. The black dragon with the incomplete bloodline was frightened. He could naturally see that Ning Fan had a black dragon refined corpse. Moreover, Ning Fan wanted to use that corpse to imitate the black dragon heaven devouring technique to devour him. Terrifying. Terrifying. If he was not mistaken, that black dragon refined corpse was actually a black dragon with royal bloodline that had been extinct for a long time. There was actually someone in this world who dared to use a black dragon with royal bloodline to refine a corpse. Moreover, this person was even more audacious and wanted to devour him. He would certainly die. Let me go. He let out a blood-curdling scream and died. Every trace of his blood essence, flesh and blood was devoured by the black dragon refined corpse. Ning Fan had secretly learned the black dragon heaven devouring technique and used the black dragon refined corpse to devour his opponent's black dragon. After devouring the void glimpse stage black dragon, the grade of the half-step void refinement realm dragon corpse suddenly skyrocketed. Almost in an instant, it broke through to the void glimpse stage. Ning Fan now had another void glimpse stage helper. Chunan Feng was extremely shocked. That black dragon that had given him so much trouble was actually subdued by Ning Fan's strange great ability and was easily killed. Void Pierce Stage. He must be a Void Pierce Stage expert. Even a Void Inquiry Stage expert would not be able to kill this black dragon instantly. He was even more convinced that Ning Fan was a Void Pierce Stage old monster. After devouring the primordial lightning and keeping the golden jade, Ning Fan gave Chunan Feng a deep look and turned around to head to the other battlefields. Every time he went to a battlefield, there would be a Void Glimpse Stage expert of the Lightning Palace facing a calamity. At this moment, Ning Fan alone had combat power equivalent to 5 Void Glimpse Stage experts. In addition to the 5 experts of the Myriad Treasure Pavilion, he was besieging the remaining 3 Void Glimpse Stage experts of the Lightning Palace. In just the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, the 3 of them had fallen one after another. This also indicated that from this moment on, Zhu Feng was the only one left in the Lightning Palace of the Zhong Mountain. Moreover, his combat power was still being suppressed by Lei Shi. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. How could a mere half-step void refinement realm expert be able to change the situation of the battle? This isn't real. I don't believe it. Zhu Feng's 9 Void Glimpse Stage subordinates had died on the Zhong Mountain. 3 of his Void Glimpse Stage subordinates had died on the outskirts of the Zhong Mountain. The foundation that he had built up throughout his life was nearly destroyed by Ning Fan alone. Even if he displayed a heaven-defying technique today and slaughtered all his enemies on the Zhong Mountain, he would not be able to maintain his position as the Lightning Lord anymore. Zhu Feng, you have underestimated Zhou Ming too much. This young man's strength is far beyond your imagination. If I'm not mistaken, he has yet to use his true trump card in this battle. Most likely, he is saving his trump card to deal with Ying Longzi. Lei Shi no longer addressed Ying Longzi as king. His confidence in Ning Fan suddenly rose in his heart. He firmly believed that Ning Fan would kill all the way to the 24th floor and kill Ying Longzi in no time. Zhu Feng, in the past you devoured my wife. Have you ever thought that this day would come? Even if you have 3 heads and 6 arms, I will still make you die on the Zhong Mountain today. Void technique, void lightning abacus. Lei Shi pointed a finger at the sky. The void power in the sky gathered and formed the shape of black lightning, turning into a black lightning abacus that was as large as a mountain. The abacus suddenly collapsed. The 50 black lightning abacus were like balls of black lightning fireballs. Each of them was 10,000 zhang in size. They fell from the sky like 50 black meteors. Each of their attacks was powerful enough to hurt a void glimpse stage cultivator. Even a void inquiry stage expert would be injured by the 50 combined attacks. Such a terrifying technique greatly exceeded Zhu Feng's expectation. He hurriedly formed a series of hand seals and formed layers of golden lightning light barriers in an attempt to block this technique. However, the layers of golden lightning light barriers were all destroyed by Lei Shi in an instant. All 50 black meteors landed on Zhu Feng's chest without exception. Rumble, 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 rays of black lightning fire that could destroy heaven and earth flattened the ground. The mountains and rivers within 100,000 li were all decayed. The lightning fire burned the ground. On the vast land, Zhu Feng half knelt on the ground. His qi was already weak. He stared at Lei Shi with resentment. He was defeated by Lei Shi in the end. The current Zhu Feng did not have the strength to fight anymore. However, he also knew that he could not escape. I'm going to die. I, a dignified expert of the 11th level of the lightning technique, am also going to die. He wanted to drag Lei Shi and Ning Fan down to hell with him. The storm of the Zhong Mountain is an immortal void realm technique. Other than breaking my invisibility, there is also the life and death second tribulation formation hidden within it. Once the life and death second tribulation is activated, I will need to sacrifice my life. However, I will certainly be able to kill all of you. Lei Shi forced me to do this. Let us die together. Zhu Feng revealed a maniacal smile. He crushed the formation disk and ignited his primordial spirit at this moment. At the moment he ignited his primordial spirit, the raindrops in the Zhong Mountain were suddenly surrounded by traces of lightning. Countless lightning rays turned into 10 lightning dragons. 5 of them were azure dragons and the other 5 were yellow dragons. All of the 10 lightning dragons were at the void inquiry stage. The first tribulation, the death tribulation formation. The wind and rain of Zhong Mountain rise from the azure and yellow. As soon as the technique was completed, the expressions of the cultivators of the Myriad Treasure Pavilion changed drastically. No one expected that the grand formation of the Zhong Mountain would actually contain such a death tribulation that could transform into 10 void inquiry stage lightning dragons. Even Lei Shi's expression changed greatly. Each of the lightning dragons in this place was not weaker than him. He could not withstand 10 lightning dragons at the same time. So what if they are lightning dragons? When the crowd of cultivators was filled with fear, Ning Fan raised his head and looked at the sky. His black hair danced wildly in the wind. His eyes were bright like the sun and moon, making him look like the god of lightning that had descended to the world. Beneath his feet, a massive blood-red lightning diagram unfolded. The lightning diagram was expanded to 100,000 li. Within that area, the attacks of the 10 void inquiry stage lightning dragons could not break the lightning diagram at all. At the moment when the lightning diagram was fully expanded, all the lightning element undead spirits felt a shiver run down their spines. Even the 10 void inquiry stage lightning dragons began to panic. Just a mere void inquiry stage lightning dragon dares to disobey me? You are courting death. Ning Fan's tone was imitating Tai Su's. Stepping on the lightning diagram, he looked down on the lightning dragons as if he was looking down on ants. It would be fine if these lightning dragons had void pierce stage cultivation base. However, they were just at the void inquiry stage. In that case, Ning Fan would devour all of them. Devour! As Ning Fan uttered the word, the lightning diagram suddenly released an unimaginable tearing force, sucking the 10 lightning dragons into it one after another. Then, 10 miserable shrieks resounded in the air. All 10 dragons were devoured by the lightning diagram. The massive primordial lightning power was refined into the lightning armor, causing it to advance to the third level of the golden armor realm. The entire Zhong mountain fell into dead silence. Zhu Feng's eyes widened. His cold smile was still frozen on his face. He could not believe that the 10 Void Inquiry stage black dragons that he summoned at the cost of burning his primordial spirit were so vulnerable. All of the 10 lightning dragons were at the Void Inquiry stage. All of them were existences that could command the wind and clouds. However, they were killed by Ning Fan just as they showed their faces. How was this possible? Since when did the lightning dragons become so weak? It's not that the lightning dragons were weak. It's that lightning diagram technique that is too powerful. What kind of lightning diagram is that? What kind of technique is that exactly? Could it be one of the strongest abilities of Lightning Emperor Tai Su, the Tai Su lightning diagram? This is absolutely impossible. Lightning Emperor Tai Su commands all lightning and no one dares to disobey him. Only the Lightning Emperor is qualified to devour lightning dragons like it's child's play. This technique has long been lost since the time of the Lightning Emperor. Even true immortals could not learn it. It's impossible for a mere half-step Void Refinement Realm Junior to learn this technique. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Zhu Feng roared again and again. He seemed to be laughing and crying at the same time. He had truly gone mad. Lei Shi could not help but let out a sigh. He had been opposing Zhu Feng his entire life. Now that he had finally won, he saw Zhu Feng end up in such a deranged state. He could not help but feel a little empty and hollow. Be careful. That Zhu Feng said that this Zhong Mountain's wind and rain formation has a total of 2 calamity formations of life and death. The lightning dragon just now was a killing calamity formation. I'm afraid that there is also a life calamity formation hidden in this place. Do not give Zhu Feng another chance to activate the formation light. Lei Shi sent a voice transmission to remind Zhu Feng. In a flash, he flew towards Zhu Feng without the slightest bit of mercy. Ning Fan nodded his head. Stepping on the lightning diagram, he dashed towards Zhu Feng. The other Void Refinement Realm cultivators of the Myriad Treasure Pavilion also became excited and launched their final attacks at Zhu Feng. Once Zhu Feng was killed, the Myriad Treasure Pavilion would become the master of the 11th floor from today onwards, and Lei Shi would be the new Lightning Master. As Lei Shi's trusted subordinates, they were naturally willing to see this happen. You want to kill me? Trying to stop the opening of the Tribulations Array? You're wrong. The Life Tribulations formation had already been activated, but none of you knew. It's too late now. All of you will die together with me in the end. Zhu Feng laughed like a mad devil. He allowed the attacks to land on his body, but he did not dodge them at all. Each of the magic techniques was enough to kill Zhu Feng, who was in a critical condition. However, the strange thing was that Zhu Feng was only injured after being hit by these magic techniques. He did not die. After a while, his injuries healed at a strange speed. As for the experts of the Myriad Treasure Pavilion and the Lightning Palace, including Ning Fan, their hair began to turn pale. Everyone's lifespan had been strangely snatched away to heal Zhu Feng's injuries. The second tribulation, the Life Tribulation formation. If heaven has feelings, heaven will also age. As soon as Zhu Feng's words fell, everyone's lifespan flowed away at a rapid speed. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. The profoundness of this immortal void realm grand formation was completely beyond his expectations. Besides, if he was not mistaken, the reason why this immortal void realm grand formation could take away one's lifespan was because a trace of the power of time had been integrated into the formation light. Within his body, there was a trace of the blood of time that was eager to give it a try. He was also not afraid of the power of time. Chapter 428. The cultivators were all shocked. A great formation that seized one's lifespan was simply unheard of. Stealing one's lifespan was a great Dao technique. Even perfected immortals might not be able to use this technique. However, this immortal Void Realm Grand Array was able to simulate this technique. Within the thunderstorm, within the grand formation, the dead spirits didn't differentiate between friend and foe, and their lifespans were rapidly decreasing. Their hair turned white, and their appearances gradually aged. A few experts who were nearing the end of their lifespans were sucked in by the formation and lost the last of their lifespans, dying just like that. As for the other experts, it was only a matter of time before their lifespans were drained. What a strange formation! Lei Shi and the other experts tried their best to shatter the formation light. However, the formation light was an immortal void realm formation. After absorbing the vitality of the people, its defense had increased to a terrifying level. It was not something that Lei Shi and the others could break. Are we really going to perish together with this Zhu Feng in this place? Despair appeared on the faces of countless experts. At this moment, Zhu Feng had already sacrificed his life and was in a state where he could not be killed. The formation could not be broken. The entire Zhong mountain range was a formation. Every drop of thunder rain was a ghost that sought souls. Zhu Feng smiled complacently. Everyone's panic fell into his eyes. Yes, that's how it should be. He wanted these people to feel the despair he had felt before. To Zhu Feng, who would definitely die after the sacrifice, every single expression of despair on his face was the greatest consolation before his death. However, when Zhu Feng's gaze swept past Ning Fan, he suddenly became furious. Why is he so calm? This is impossible. Zhu Feng was infuriated. Ning Fan was the main culprit who caused him to end up like this. What he wanted to see the most was Ning Fan's despairing expression. Only then would he feel satisfied. However, Ning Fan, who was trapped in the formation, was not afraid at all. On the contrary, his expression was as calm as an ancient well. After a while, he even slightly closed his eyes, leaving only 3 puppets and 1 corpse to protect him. Let his black hair turn white, let his skin turn dry and wrinkled, let his back turn crooked, let the years turn old. Ning Fan did not resist at all and just let the grand formation absorb his lifespan. Lifespan was the upper limit of a cultivator's lifespan. Losing one's lifespan would not affect one's skeletal age. Some cultivators had lived for thousands of years but still looked young. This was because they still had enough lifespan. With the loss of their lifespan would gradually come to an end. Only then would cultivators begin to age. Of course, there were also cultivators who liked the appearance of an old man, so it was normal for them to do so. Up until now, Ning Fan had been cultivating with the help of time again and again. However, his bone age was only around 500 years. As a divine transformation realm cultivator, he could live for 5,000 to 6,000 years. His lifespan was ample and he naturally would not show any signs of aging. However, as his lifespan flowed into the grand formation bit by bit, his lifespan disappeared. Even he could not help but show signs of aging. Even though the immortal void grand formation was powerful, Ning Fan could totally use his wind mist finger to tear open a crack and leave. However, he did not do that. There was a reason why he chose to stay here and not break the formation or escape. His heart was in harmony with the formation. He seemed to have comprehended something, and then it faded away. The strand of blood of time was born from devouring the time crystal, and at this moment, it was increasing bit by bit. If I can control this trace of blood of time at will, not only will my lifespan not be taken away by the formation light, I can even reverse it. I have never aged before. How can I comprehend the power of time? To me, aging this time is the best time to comprehend the blood of time. Having made up his mind, Ning Fan removed his defenses and allowed the formation light to take away his lifespan. Moreover, he even tried to use the power of time in reverse to send his lifespan out of the formation light. Thus, the speed at which he aged was 10 times faster than the others. Seeing Ning Fan pretending to be calm, Zhu Feng half knelt on the ground with a mocking expression. From his point of view, Ning Fan's pretense of being calm was just a bluff. He definitely did not think that Ning Fan could break a dignified immortal void grand formation. No one could kill Zhu Feng. He was also so weak that he could not use a trace of magic power and could not attack anyone. All he wanted was to perish together with all his enemies. That way, he could barely enjoy the pleasure of taking revenge. Ning Fan's lifespan decreased rapidly. From the appearance of a 20-year-old young man, he gradually turned into a middle-aged man who was in his 30s or 40s. Then, he turned into an old man who was in his 60s or 70s. His heart's understanding of time deepened gradually. Standing at the age of 30, having no doubts at the age of 40, knowing the destiny of heaven at the age of 50, being obedient at the age of 60 and following the heart's desires at the age of 70, along with the changes in his appearance, his heart had also aged once. His hair was white and his face was covered with wrinkles. He was getting old. He opened his turbid eyes and glanced at the lightning rain grand formation indifferently. There was neither joy nor sorrow in his eyes. He was indifferent to favors and insults. In this short period of time, Ning Fan's mental state had obtained a great improvement. What is time? A poem by a cultivator says, "Time is a passerby of 100 generations. The length of a cultivator's life is as long as a mortal's 100 generations. To a cultivator, time is the passing of time. It's their lifespan. To a mountain, time is the cracks that are carved on the rocks. It's the mark of weathering. To rivers, lakes and oceans, time is the vicissitudes of a vast ocean turning into a vast field." Ning Fan muttered to himself. In his Danton, a trace of the blood of time was slowly peeled off and swallowed by his primordial spirit, which was clad in golden armor. In the past, he could not devour the blood of time as he wished. Now he had aged overnight. However, through the aging of his body and mind, he had comprehended the profoundness of time. There are some things that you won't be able to comprehend in your entire life if you don't experience it yourself and only rely on self-cultivation. For example, flowing water and time. Ning Fan's turbid and aged eyes suddenly flashed with a ray of light. He had found the trace of the flow of time. I have comprehended the meaning of time, but I still can't control it freely. All of this is because my cultivation realm is too low and I can't comprehend an immortal technique of that level. However, from this grand formation, I have discovered a method to control time. Taking away someone's lifespan can make them grow old. Taking away the lifespan of heaven and earth can make heaven and earth grow old. As for the method to take away someone's lifespan, it's to take away the time of others to make up for the time that I have lost to balance. This grand formation is able to take away someone's lifespan because a trace of the power of time has been integrated into it. I have a trace of the power of time in my body, so I can also take away someone's lifespan. Ning Fan's hair was as white as snow. His calm eyes swept across Zhu Feng and said indifferently, "I'll accept your great gift." Great gift? What nonsense are you talking about? When have I ever given you a great gift? What I have given you is just a great tribulation of life and death to take your life. Zhu Feng sneered. He thought that Ning Fan must have become muddle-headed because he was about to die and was spouting nonsense. Ning Fan did not answer him. He used his actions to tell Zhu Feng that the grand formation that Zhu Feng activated by sacrificing his life was a great gift to Ning Fan. Ning Fan's aged voice resounded through the bell. His eyes suddenly shot out a ray of golden light. That golden light was neither sword chi nor golden lightning. Instead, it was a strange and unpredictable power. That kind of power was not as profound as samsara. However, as soon as it appeared, both Lei Shi and Zhu Feng could not understand it. Zhu Feng, in particular, exclaimed in surprise. "What is this? What a terrifying power!" However, no matter how terrifying this power is, it's just a ray of light. It definitely can't break the grand formation. Halfway through his words, he suddenly choked. In the night sky, the pure golden ray of time easily pierced into the formation light with a chi sound like a needle piercing a piece of tofu. At the next moment, the grand formation rumbled and fell into chaos. It was because the trace of time power that was originally added to the formation light had been taken away by Ning Fan. That trace of time power was similar to the power of Ning Fan's blood of time. However, it was still slightly inferior as it was left behind by the Grandmaster who created this formation. The time power that he left in the formation was devoured by Ning Fan. If it wasn't benefiting Ning Fan, what else could it be? Devour. After injecting the blood of time into the formation light, Ning Fan began to devour the time power within the formation light with a thought. The effect of the grand formation of Zhong Mountain gradually weakened. In the end, it actually could not take away any of the cultivator's life force at all. Ning Fan clenched his 5 fingers and the formation light collapsed with a loud bang. A trace of golden ray was summoned back to his hand. He then swallowed it into his abdomen and refined it into his primordial spirit. Inside his primordial spirit, the golden ray was divided into 2 traces of blood of time. There was one more trace. The extra trace was naturally devoured from the formation light. Impossible. An immortal void realm grand formation was actually broken by a trace of your golden light. What exactly is that golden light? Zhu Feng was greatly shocked. He raised his head and looked at the sky. There were pieces of dark red crystals floating in the sky. Each of them contained 100 years of life force. In total, there were thousands of them. Those crystals were condensed from the life force of countless experts who had been extracted. Those crystals could be taken away, but they could not be devoured because these cultivators were not proficient in the power of time. Zhu Feng could not believe it. Why was an immortal void realm grand formation that no one had ever been able to break before destroyed by a divine transformation realm junior? As the grand formation was broken, Zhu Feng's lifespan had reached its limit. He let out a miserable cry and died with his eyes wide open. The golden jade of primordial lightning still belonged to Ning Fan. At the moment of his death, the foothills of Zhong Mountain within 100,000 li collapsed. The thunderstorms stopped for the first time. The grand formation was gone. In the night sky, the life force crystals were gradually disappearing in the vast sky because no one could refine them. As the saying went, flowers will bloom again but people will never be young again. Cultivators who looked as old as Ning Fan could not regain their lifespan and regain their youthfulness. Ning Fan raised his head and looked at the sky. He always had the power of time. Thus, he could refine these crystals. If he were to consume these crystals, not only would he be able to regain his youth, but he would also be able to obtain a lifespan of over 100,000 years. In his mind, he recalled his understanding of the grand formation of Zhong Mountain. Then, he raised his hand and pointed at the sky. He activated the power of the heart formation and drew a formation diagram in the sky. His heart array was not enough to draw an immortal void realm array diagram, but he created a peak transcendent realm array diagram by imitating the Zhong Mountain array diagram. Although its grade was not at the void grade, it contained the profound mysteries of the vicissitudes of time. With a flash of formation light, all the life force crystals were swallowed into the formation and refined into Ning Fan's body. With each step he took, he looked younger and younger. From a white-haired old man, he gradually turned back into a white-robed young man. Not only did he look younger, but his lifespan had also increased by 100,000 years. Only void fragmentation realm old monsters could live for 100,000 years. Ning Fan had yet to attain the void fragmentation realm. He was just at the divine transformation realm, but he could already live up to 100,000 years. Moreover, as long as he is willing to, he could still borrow the power of time to rob others of their lifespan. It would not be difficult for him to achieve immortality like an immortal. The power of time was truly heaven-defying. If other old monsters had Ning Fan's opportunity and Tao comprehension, obtaining the power of time, condensing the blood of time, comprehending the time divine ability and refining their lifespan with the heart formation, those old monsters would certainly be able to achieve immortality too. Unfortunately, they did not dare to steal the time crystals, nor could they comprehend the power of time. Besides, they did not have the heart formation divine ability. Besides, to the 7 steps of cultivation, immortality might be precious. However, to immortals, everyone could achieve immortality. The so-called longevity was not something to be proud of at all. To Ning Fan, lifespan was of little value. He did not lack lifespan. What he lacked was time. He was in too much of a hurry and his time was too tight. Fellow Taoist Zhou, good technique. What exactly did you do to actually break this formation? Besides, did little friend swallow all of those life force crystals? Lei Shi asked doubtfully. Pavilion Lord Lei, do you think that I can swallow those crystals? Ning Fan did not answer his question but asked a question instead. It's my fault for asking so abruptly. What does it have to do with me whether fellow Taoist can swallow those crystals or not? Lei Shi hurriedly waved his hand, indicating that he did not have the intention to inquire about Ning Fan's background. Zhu Feng was already dead and he had taken his revenge. Thus, he was very pleased. As for the reason why he could take his revenge, it was all because of Ning Fan's help. Lei Shi must remember this favor. Therefore, he would not do such a rude thing to inquire about Ning Fan's background. Such heaven-defying technique was enough to make countless void fragmentation realm old monsters who were at the end of their lifespans go crazy. Regardless of whether Ning Fan had such a technique or not, Lei Shi would not even ask about it. If he did, he would only bring trouble to Ning Fan. All the void refinement realm experts of the Lightning Palace of Zhong Mountain were killed. The Myriad Treasure Pavilion went on a one-sided massacre. In the end, Zhong Mountain was razed to the ground. Each of the lightning jades belonged to Lei Shi. Even the golden jades that Ning Fan obtained were given to Lei Shi. As for the lightning of his primordial spirit, all of them belonged to Ning Fan. Without Lei Shi's help, Ning Fan would certainly need to expend a lot of effort to destroy Zhong Mountain alone. Giving him some lightning jades was not worth mentioning. After wiping out the lightning palace of Zhong Mountain and devouring countless primordial lightning, his lightning armor was only 4,000 traces of divine transformation realm primordial lightning away from achieving a breakthrough. If it is converted to void refinement realm primordial lightning, just 40 traces would be enough. Little friend, what do you want? Do you still want to kill your way to the 24th floor? Do you still need my help? Lei Shi gritted his teeth and finally took the initiative to ask. Oh, isn't Pavilion Lord Lei afraid of King Ying Long and afraid to help me? Why aren't you afraid now? Ning Fan looked at Lei Shi deeply. He could see the struggle and fear on Lei Shi's face. Previously, Lei Shi was afraid of King Ying Long and was only willing to help Ning Fan kill Zhu Feng. Now, Lei Shi was still afraid of King Ying Long, but he was willing to help Ning Fan kill his way to the 24th floor. This person seemed to want to repay Ning Fan's kindness. I am still afraid of King Ying Long. However, without little friend's help, all the experts of the Myriad Treasure Pavilion would have died in the hands of that evil creature, Zhu Feng. That formation light is too powerful to take away one's lifespan. If it wasn't for little friend, no one would be able to break it. I must repay little friend for saving my life. The people of my Myriad Treasure Pavilion have already died once. Even if little friend is no match for King Ying Long, we are still willing to help you and die together with you. Pavilion Lord is right. We are willing to help fellow Taoist Zhou kill his way to the 24th floor. Chu Nanfeng and Mo Feiyun responded at the same time. Ning Fan kept silent for a moment. It was really rare for this Myriad Treasure Pavilion to know how to repay a favor. With the help of the Myriad Treasure Pavilion, it would be much easier for him to kill his way to the 24th floor. Thus, he naturally would not reject their offer. After cleaning up the battlefield and taking a rest, everyone prepared to cross the teleportation formation and enter the 12th floor. At this moment, a group of cultivators charged towards them aggressively from outside the Zhong Mountain. They shouted loudly while fleeing at top speed. We, the 10 Void Glimpse stage experts, have come late. Please forgive us, Lightning Lord Zhu Feng. I won't let you take all the credit for killing Zhou Ming. 10 Void Glimpse stage experts and 1,000 Divine Transformation Realm experts were obviously here to snatch the credit. All of them rushed to this place from the 10th floor without stopping. They were afraid that they would not be able to get the credit for killing Ning Fan if they were late. However, as soon as they arrived at the Zhong Mountain, each of the old monsters was dumbfounded. What is going on? What kind of situation is this? The 100,000 li of the Zhong Mountain had turned into ruins. Countless undead spirits had died and blood flowed like a river. Among those corpses, there were nascent soul realm experts, Divine Transformation Realm experts, and even Void Refinement Realm experts. Maran Wang is dead. Li Gui is dead. Yen Daozi is dead. And Gu Feng, the Lightning Lord of the 10th floor, broke out in cold sweat. He could not believe the scene in front of him. When his eyes fell on Zhu Feng's corpse, his heart nearly jumped out of his throat. All 10 Void Glimpse stage old monsters, including the Lightning Lord of the 10th floor, were shocked. Zhu Feng is dead. This is absolutely impossible. He is a Void Inquiry stage old monster. How can he die? But wouldn't it be better to ask him directly after you die? Lei Shi smiled wretchedly. He led the people of the Myriad Treasure Pavilion and surrounded the group of experts. All of them were sent by King Yinglong. After killing Zhu Feng, Lei Shi could still use the old grudge as an excuse. But after killing these people, he would completely fall out with King Yinglong. However, Lei Shi was a decisive person. Since he had promised to help Ning Fan deal with King Yinglong, he would not go back on his words. He would not let any of these people go. Ning Fan took a step and rose into the sky. After he recovered, he could already display the aspect of self technique again and create 2 golden shadows. 1 human, 2 shadows, 1 corpse, and 3 puppets. Ning Fan alone was equivalent to the combat power of 7 Void Glimpse stage experts. Those 6 people could be considered as Ning Fan's slaves. 1 human and 6 slaves instantly stabilized the Lightning Lord of the 10th floor and launched their most violent attacks. In just an instant, they severely injured the Lightning Lord of the 10th floor. Impossible! When I was chasing after you back then, you clearly only had the strength to run away. Why are you so strong now? The Lightning Lord of the 10th floor could not believe his eyes. After being besieged by Ning Fan and his 6 slaves, he was severely injured in just an instant. In the next round, his injuries were already fatal. He died with a miserable shriek. Until his death, he could not understand how Ning Fan's strength could increase so much in just a few days. He died with everlasting regret. How regretful! If he knew that Ning Fan was so strong, his brain must have been hit by a door to have chased after him. If he knew that Ning Fan was so strong, his brain must have been damaged by water to have rushed to the 11th floor to die. How regretful! Chapter 429. After Zhu Feng's death, the 11th floor of the Lightning Tower was leveled by Ning Fan. After being besieged by Ning Fan and Lei Shi, 4 of the 10 Void Refinement Realm experts who came to seek their own deaths had died. Among the 10, only 6 were still alive. They were refined into dead spirit puppets by Lei Shi at a hefty price. After the primordial lightning was extracted, it belonged to Ning Fan. After killing the Lightning Lords of the 11th floor, Ning Fan already had 11 pieces of lightning leaves. It was more than enough to save Hong Yi. Lei Shi retained his puppet cultivation, so naturally he would not be able to obtain the Thunder Jade. To Lei Shi, a piece of golden grade Thunder Jade was not as valuable as a puppet. After killing Zhu Feng, Lei Shi would become the Thunder Master of the 11th floor from then on. He would need a lot of combat power to rule the 11th floor. These spiritual puppets were refined using Void Glimpse stage cultivators. Their cultivation bases were lower than the Void Glimpse stage but higher than the half-step Void Refinement realm. It was similar to an illusory Void realm. This kind of spiritual puppet could only be controlled by an undead spirit. Besides, it could not be brought out of the Lightning Tower. Therefore, Ning Fan would not covet these spiritual puppets. In fact, he was not even interested in them at all. Thus, he left all of them to Lei Shi to handle. The 10 Void Refinement Realm experts and 1,000 Divine Transformation Realm experts who sacrificed themselves contributed 1,000 traces of Divine Transformation Realm Primordial Lightning and 10 traces of Void Refinement Realm Primordial Lightning. The quality of his lightning armor had improved significantly. After devouring another 2,000 Divine Transformation Realm cultivators or 20 Void Refinement Realm cultivators, he would be able to break through to the 3rd level of the Golden Armor realm. There were countries in the mortal world that prospered because of war. Ning Fan and Lei Shi had also expanded their strength and improved their cultivation base because of the battle. The group of them activated the teleportation array and were teleported to the 12th floor of the Thunder Tower. The 12th layer was a world of clouds and mist. The clouds were all thunderclouds. There were many dead spirits and ferocious beasts hidden within the thunderclouds. Normally, when the undead spirit cultivators entered the 12th level, they would travel through the sea of clouds with extreme caution. Even Lei Shi had to restrain himself a little when he occasionally went up to the 12th level. This time, however, with Ning Fan leading the way, they unleashed their full aura force. Lei Shi and the others also did not hold back their sharpness and marched forward recklessly in the sea of clouds. As long as there were experts blocking the way or ferocious beasts ambushing them, they would all be killed without question. In the 12th floor of the Thunder Palace, the Thunder Lord Huang Yunzi had a gloomy expression. He had heard about the destruction of the 11th floor. He also heard that Zhu Feng died in the hands of a half-step Void Refinement Realm Junior. That junior was the person who was wanted by King Ing Long. Rumor had it that his strength was comparable to a Void Inquiry stage expert and he could even fight against a Void Pierce stage cultivator. What a joke! It's impossible for a half-step Void Refinement Realm cultivator to have Void Inquiry stage combat power, let alone Void Pierce stage. Huang Yunzi had never believed in these rumors. He had once rejected Ing Dragon King's order to not send anyone to the lower worlds to hunt Ning Fan down. He did not believe that Ning Fan had the ability to kill Zhu Feng. However, he believed in Lei Shi's strength. He had met Lei Shi before. In his mind, Lei Shi was a patient person. It was not strange for him to be able to eliminate Zhu Feng and unify the 11th floor. Huang Yunzi was a Void Inquiry stage expert. However, just like the majority of Void Inquiry stage experts, he was unwilling to submit to King Ing Long. He sent out more than 10 half-step Void Refinement Realm cultivators to secretly investigate the situation of Lei Shi and the others. If Lei Shi and the others really had the strength to go against King Ing Long, he would be more than happy to not stop them and let them directly enter the 12th floor to disgust King Ing Long. All the spies that were sent out returned with the same news. The force of Lei Shi's group was indeed not weak. However, the leader of this group of cultivators was not Lei Shi but Ning Fan. How could this be? With Lei Shi's shrewdness, why would he listen to the instructions of a Divine Transformation Realm Junior for no reason? Could it be that this junior really has strength comparable to a Void Inquiry stage expert? This is simply absurd. The night sky had yet to completely disperse. A waning moon was still hanging in the sky, indicating that dawn was approaching. At this moment, outside the lightning palace in the sea of clouds, the sound of an intruder suddenly resounded. Then, a clear and loud voice that carried terrifying baleful qi came from afar. I'm Zhou Ming. I want to borrow Lightning Lord Huang Yunzi's teleportation formation. I hope you can make an exception for me. The voice revealed Ning Fan's half-step Void Refinement Realm Qi. It seemed like he was not worthy of Huang Yunzi's attention. However, the baleful qi in this voice was so strong that it was unimaginable. The moment the voice entered Huang Yunzi's ears, he felt layers of illusions appearing in front of his eyes. Each of the illusions was a flowing sea of blood. How many Void Refinement Realm old monsters has this young man actually killed? Why does he actually have such terrifying baleful qi? Huang Yunzi could no longer sit still. There was no need to investigate Ning Fan's background anymore. He had already deeply realized that Ning Fan must not be provoked. Huang Yunzi was a Void Inquiry stage expert. However, this Void Inquiry stage expert was still slightly weaker than Zhu Feng. He could not afford to offend Ning Fan. Guards, pass down my order. No one is allowed to attack the people from the Myriad Treasure Pavilion. Let them use the teleportation formation freely. Those who disobey will be executed. Huang Yunzi said in an irrefutable manner. Young Master has already led his men to attack. He even announced that he is going to capture Zhou Ming and ask King Ing Long for a reward. A Void Glimpse stage old monster said with a trembling voice. Unfilial son. I shouldn't have accepted him in the past. Huang Yunzi's expression changed greatly. He did not dare to provoke Ning Fan at all. However, his good son had gone to cause trouble for him. The so-called son was just a foster son. If it wasn't because he valued Ning Fan's background and that he could make use of him, why would he, Huang Yunzi, accept such an idiot as his foster son? He no longer hesitated and summoned all the experts with a solemn expression. Their purpose was not to attack Ning Fan but to stop his foster son. When Huang Yunzi hurried to the teleportation formation, his heart thumped when he saw Ning Fan being surrounded by 2 Void Glimpse stage experts. "I'm late." One of the 2 Void Glimpse stage experts was short and the other was fat. Both of them were his son's personal guardians. Each of them had a terrifying early Void Refinement Realm cultivation base. Behind the 2 Void Glimpse stage experts stood a young man wearing a peach-colored robe. His cultivation base was at the late Divine Transformation Realm. His peach blossom eyes were filled with disdain and mockery. "Kuda, Ku-er, the 2 of you kill this young man. When I ask King Ing Long for a reward, I will remember the 2 of you. Remember, this young man is a little cunning and his concealment technique is quite good. Don't give him any time to hide. Don't worry, young master. The 2 of us know what to do." The 2 Void Glimpse stage experts chuckled coldly. Each of them took out a handful of silver ash that smelled of blood and sprinkled it into the sky. It turned into specks of silver flames and disappeared. At the next moment, Ning Fan felt that his body was branded with a fishy smell that he could neither get rid of nor get rid of. Ning Fan's eyes turned grim. It seemed like the 2 of them wanted to lock onto him with their smell. He did not want to cause any trouble. He did not have that much time. He just wanted to kill his way to the 24th floor as soon as possible and eliminate King Ing Long. After that, he would leave this place and complete Hong Yi's mission. Yu Lingkong was waiting for Hong Yi's golden leaf to save her life. Ning Fan did not have the mood to waste any more time here. However, since the other party had come to provoke him and wanted to kill him to earn a reward, Ning Fan would certainly not tolerate it given his personality. "Young man, you've been hit by our fire scale ash. Even if you hide yourself, you won't be able to hide this smell. Your concealment technique has already been broken by us. Let's see what other methods you have to fight against us Void Glimpse stage experts." Kuda and Ku-er sneered complacently. Lei Shi was enraged. Kuda and Ku-er were really despicable. Once someone comes into contact with the fire scale ash, it would take a few days for them to get rid of it. Even if Ning Fan kills his way to the 13th floor, he would certainly be delayed by this ash. He would not be able to conceal himself and lose his safety. "Fellow Taoist Zhou, I will take care of them. You bring your men and go to the 13th floor first." Lei Shi shouted angrily. "No need. They are looking for me. 2 mere Void Glimpse stage experts are not worth mentioning." Ning Fan's eyes flashed with cold light. That cold light was like twinkling starlight. At the next moment, 99 black stars appeared at the peak of the sea of clouds. Within the starlight, Ning Fan reached out his palm and made a grabbing motion. The traces of starlight immediately turned into a starlight bow that shone with dazzling black light. When he drew the bow, heaven and earth trembled. When he pulled the bowstring, an arrow shocked the world. Ning Fan drew the bow and shot an arrow at Kuda and Ku-er. All of a sudden, the complacent expressions on Kuda and Ku-er's faces turned into astonishment. An unprecedented look of astonishment appeared in their eyes and they could not get rid of it. Sounds of astonishment could be heard from 10,000 li away. Starlight healing technique. Besides, it's actually the legendary black stars. This person has 99 natal stars to protect his body. Unless there's a void fragmentation realm old monster who can destroy his stars, a mere void refinement realm old monster will not be able to break through his star technique. This person is almost immune to all Void Glimpse stage attacks. It was his first time seeing the starlight healing technique with his own eyes. This technique was passed down in ancient books. Its destructive power was extremely strong and it was certainly invincible among cultivators at the same level as it. What kind of bow technique is this? The destructive power of a single bow can make heaven and earth tremble. It can shake the grand momentum and shatter the hollow space. I definitely won't be able to block the destructive power of this young man's bow. The other Void Glimpse stage old monster felt his scalp go numb just by looking at Ning Fan's bow and arrow from afar. His intention to stop the battle was also dispelled. Huang Yunzi sighed. He knew that if this arrow falls, even if Ku Da and Ku Er did not die, they would be severely injured and their cultivation bases would be greatly damaged. He wanted to save the two of them, but he could not do so. Firstly, Lei Shi was secretly watching Huang Yunzi. Once Huang Yunzi interferes, he would also interfere. Secondly, Huang Yunzi really did not want to offend Ning Fan. Once he takes action, the situation would no longer be salvageable. While Lei Shi was secretly staring at Huang Yunzi, his heart was filled with shock. Even Lei Shi did not have the confidence to withstand the destructive power of Ning Fan's bow without sustaining any injuries. If Ning Fan breaks through to the Void Refinement realm, even if his cultivation base is at the Void Glimpse stage, he would still be able to severely injure Lei Shi with this arrow. This young man really did not use his full strength on the 11th floor. Lei Shi nodded his head and muttered to himself. However, at the next moment, his expression changed greatly. He saw Ning Fan draw the bow and draw the arrow. However, he did not shoot it immediately. Instead, he dispersed the bow and arrow. His eyes seemed to be dissatisfied. No, it's not like that. The difference in power between Great Emperor Mo Luo's star-punishing bow and my bow is like heaven and earth. Is it because my bow does not have devil runes engraved on it? Ning Fan closed his eyes and recalled the majestic scene when Mo Luo defeated Tai Su with a single arrow. All of a sudden, he reached out his hand and summoned the starlight to condense another bow. This time, he did not immediately draw the bowstring. Instead, he held the bow with one hand while forming hand seals with the other, performing an ancient and profound devil art. For a moment, devil chi billowed above the sea of clouds. Traces of devil runes condensed and were engraved on the body of the bow. Ku Da and Ku Er's expressions immediately became extremely interesting. At first, they mocked Ning Fan. However, when they saw Ning Fan summon the stars and draw the bow, they nearly peed their pants. The destructive power of that arrow was indeed a little terrifying. Even if the two of them resist it with all their might, they would at most be severely injured even if they did not die. Just as the two of them were preparing to defend themselves with all their might, Ning Fan dispersed the devil bow and began to condense devil runes again. The two of them had no idea what those runes were. However, they inwardly speculated that Ning Fan might not have completed this magic technique yet. How dare you use an unfinished magic technique to bluff in front of us? You're courting death. The two of them no longer had any fear in their hearts. Each of them formed hand seals with their 10 fingers and displayed low-grade mortal void magic techniques to attack Ning Fan. 9 Heavens Divine Lightning Incomplete Technique. 5 Heavenly Lightning Blasting Top Technique. Layers of thunderclouds instantly condensed. Billions of golden lightning rays turned into thunderbolts and struck down with earth-shattering rumbling sounds. This was the joint attack of 2 Void Glimpse stage experts with their full strength. Even an ordinary Void Glimpse stage expert would have a hard time withstanding it. As for Ning Fan, who was still perfecting his magic technique, he would definitely die if he was struck by the lightning rays. Be careful! Lei Shi's eyes flashed with surprise. He wanted to help Ning Fan. It's all right. Without turning his head, Ning Fan suddenly took a step forward and stopped condensing the devil runes. There were already 99 devil runes on his black star bow. He had secretly learned these devil runes from Mo Luo's archery technique. However, condensing devil runes required the power of his natal stars. He only had 99 natal black stars. Thus, he could only condense 99 black runes. As for Mo Luo, since he could condense 1 million devil runes, he certainly had 1 million stars in his body. Mo Luo was also a ruthless person. However, Ning Fan would certainly surpass this ruthless person. Since the devil runes had been completed, Ning Fan drew his bow and drew an arrow. The destructive power of the arrow suddenly caused clusters of black sparks to appear in the sea of clouds within 10,000 li. These sparks were produced from the friction between the air and the sharp light of the star arrow and the magic power of the arrow. His black hair fluttered in the violent wind. His black eyes were as cold as the dark night. A wave of crazy aura force instantly swept across the sea of clouds. Facing the billions of lightning rays, Ning Fan did not even bother to summon the lightning diagram. He directly drew his bow and shot an arrow. He released the bowstring and the arrow flew out. It drew a perfect black line in the sky. Wherever it passed, it tore the sky into two halves and cut through the black blood. The destructive power of a single arrow made the sky bleed. A sharp cry that sounded like thousands of birds chirping at the same time broke through the sea of clouds and resounded across the sky. Chi within the sea of clouds, there seemed to be countless sounds of arrows echoing. However, a ray of flowing light cut through the universe. The lightning clouds that the two Void Glimpse stage cultivators displayed with all their might were pierced through by the arrow and shattered into pieces. The lightning rays that were shattered by the arrow continued to burn with black sparks. The invisible lightning rays were forcefully burned into ashes. Two mortal Void Realm magic techniques could not withstand the destructive power of a single arrow at all. When Kuda and Ku-air witnessed this scene, their faces turned pale. The destructive power of this arrow was enough to burn the two of them into ashes. It was definitely not as simple as sustaining heavy injuries. The two of them were frightened. They wanted to escape in different directions. However, just as they split up, the arrow immediately split into two arrow shadows and chased after them. Damn it! The two of them did not expect that the arrow could be split into two. Moreover, after splitting, even though the destructive power of the arrow was reduced, it was still more than enough to kill a Void Glimpse stage cultivator. The two of them bit the tip of their tongues at the same time and pushed their speed to the maximum. Each of them turned into wisps of smoke and drifted away to a distance of 150,000 li. However, the arrow light also disappeared in a flash. When the two of them reappeared at a distance of 150,000 li away, two rays of arrow light suddenly shot out from the void and pierced into their dantian, ignoring all of their Void Glimpse stage defenses. Rumble. The moment they were hit by the arrow, the two of them did not even have the chance to scream. Their bodies were incinerated by the sparks. Within a breath's time, they turned into ashes and vanished. Chi, the two rays of arrow light returned with two traces of primordial lightning and were swallowed by Ning Fan. He did not disperse the star bow. Instead, he approached the young master in peach robes step by step. His eyes were filled with coldness as he took 9 consecutive steps. Each of the 9 steps was on the great momentum of heaven and earth. Each step he took forced the sword momentum to take form. However, at the last step, Ning Fan broke the momentum with a loud bang and released his sovereign chi, condensing his own sovereign momentum. The final point of the 9 heaven-treading steps was to step on the momentum of heaven and condense the sovereign momentum. You want to use me to claim credit? You. Chi. After the 9 steps, several swords of the great momentum suddenly swept across the sea of clouds. Among them, there was even a sword made of pure gold which was filled with unstoppable killing chi. Without giving the young master any chance to beg for mercy, it killed him with a single slash. Hiss! Each of the old monsters of the Cloud Sea Lightning Palace sucked in a cold breath in disbelief. The destructive power of Ning Fan's single arrow could kill 2 Void Refinement Realm experts. When Ning Fan took 9 steps to form a sword, the sharpness of that sword was unstoppable. Sword of Sovereign Chi. Huang Yunzi's hand, which was about to save his foster son, stiffened. After letting out a sigh, he closed his eyes. Forget it. This unfilial son caused this trouble. He deserves to suffer the consequences of his actions. However, I didn't expect this Zhou Ming to actually be this strong. A single arrow from his devil bow can almost instantly kill anyone below the Void Inquiry stage. His sword of sovereign chi is even more powerful. Even if I go against it, I will have a 30% chance of dying. This young man might have other tricks up his sleeves. We must not provoke him. Ning Fan killed 3 people in a row, but no one dared to stop him. Even Huang Yunzi had tacitly agreed to Ning Fan's actions. Who else would dare to step forward and stop him? Chu Nanfeng, Mo Feiyun and the others were so shocked that they could not close their mouths. Even though they knew that Ning Fan was strong, they did not know that he actually had such a powerful trump card which could kill a Void Glimpse stage cultivator with an arrow and a Void Inquiry stage cultivator with a sword. Huang Yunzi, give me an explanation. Ning Fan's eyes were cold. Originally, he did not want to cause trouble in the Cloud Sea. However, since the other party provoked him first, the result was different. If Huang Yunzi does not give him an explanation, he would flatten the lightning palace of the Cloud Sea today. I heard that fellow Taoist Zhou is collecting primordial lightning. I happen to have 10,000 traces of divine transformation realm primordial lightning in my hands. All of them were left behind by the divine transformation realm experts who died on the 12th floor in the past countless years. Huang Yunzi smiled bitterly and gave a compensation. It's not enough. The dark golden bamboo leaf and 1,000 silver jades are enough. Otherwise, the Cloud Sea will be destroyed. How dare you! As soon as Ning Fan's voice fell, several Void Glimpse stage old monsters of the Cloud Sea immediately stepped forward and glared at Ning Fan, expressing their dissatisfaction towards his extortion. I won't repeat my words twice. Ning Fan's eyes were like cold lightning. His baleful chi was as sharp as a sword, piercing the sea of consciousness of those old monsters. They hurriedly retreated with great shock. What shocked them was Ning Fan's powerful aura force. With just his baleful chi, he could force Void Glimpse stage old monsters to retreat. Shut up. Fellow Taoist Zhou's request is very reasonable. Bo Yuan, go get the dark golden bamboo leaf and 1,000 silver jades and give them to fellow Taoist Zhou. The old monster named Bo Yuan was one of the people who was forced to retreat by Ning Fan's aura force just now. His eyes were struggling as he did not know whether he should obey Ning Fan's order or not. Go now. Do you want my Cloud Sea Lightning Palace to be destroyed? Huang Yunzi roared. What? Bo Yuan's eyes widened in surprise. He did not expect Huang Yunzi, a Void Inquiry stage old monster, to be so afraid of Ning Fan. Well, it was no wonder. Bo Yuan was just a Void Glimpse stage expert. He knew how powerful the Star Bow was, but he did not know how powerful the Sovereign Sword was. As for Huang Yunzi, he could sense the danger of death from the Sovereign Sword. How could he not be afraid of Ning Fan? Bo Yuan sighed. He did not dare to be negligent. Following Huang Yunzi's order, he fetched the items and passed them to Ning Fan. Ning Fan did not even look at the lightning jades and threw them all to Lei Shi. He only swallowed 10,000 traces of primordial lightning and kept the dark golden bamboo leaf. Then he passed through the teleportation formation and entered the 13th floor. After this group of people left, Huang Yunzi heaved a sigh of relief. He looked at his foster son and 2 Void Glimpse stage experts who had died in the Cloud Sea with lingering fear. Bo Yuan, remember this. That Zhou Ming must not be provoked. He is 100 times more dangerous than King Ying Long. On the 13th floor, Lei Shi smiled wretchedly and looked at Ning Fan with admiration. Fellow Taoist Zhou is really bold. You even dared to extort money from that stingy Huang Yunzi. Well done. Why don't we continue extorting him to the 24th floor in one go? You have the bamboo leaves and primordial lightning while I have the lightning jades. We can get rich together. Why not? Alright. Ning Fan nodded his head. Let's continue extorting then. What's wrong with being a little more domineering? After all, in this Black Lightning Tower, strength was everything. If others dislike him, they could just bring their men to kill him. As for the consequences, they would end up like Zhu Feng and the others. After refining 10,000 traces of primordial lightning, the lightning armor on Ning Fan's primordial spirit had already broken through to the 3rd level of the golden grade. Its defense became even more terrifying. It could even defend against a Void Pierce stage attack. As for Void Inquiry stage attacks, it could completely ignore them. This meant that no one in the first 24 floors, including King Ying Long, could hurt Ning Fan. However, Ning Fan discovered a sad fact. After his lightning armor broke through to the 3rd level, the amount of primordial lightning required to advance became even more terrifying. To advance from the second level to the third level, he only devoured around 10,000 traces of primordial lightning. However, to advance from the third level to the fourth level, he would need at least 200,000 traces of primordial lightning. The greater the amount of primordial lightning required, the more it meant that the defense of the fourth level of the golden grade armor was far stronger than the third level. This also meant that the attack power of an absolute void stage cultivator was more than 20 times stronger than a void pierce stage old monster. In the void refinement realm, the difference between each level of cultivation was like heaven and earth. It was because only by comprehending the word void could one be considered as a true expert. 1 hour later, the group arrived at the Lightning Palace of the 13th floor. What surprised Ning Fan was that the Lightning Lord of the 13th floor had already prepared the dark golden bamboo leaves, 10,000 traces of primordial lightning and 1,000 silver jades for him. The so-called Lightning Lord was a skinny old man. Usually he was arrogant. However, he did not dare to be arrogant in front of Ning Fan at all at this moment. Fellow Taoist Zhou, please use the teleportation formation. If you have any requests, just tell me. As long as this old man can do it, I will certainly do my best. Even if I want you to deal with King Ing Long, is it still possible? Ning Fan gave Thunder Lord Xian Hai a meaningful look. Fellow Taoist, you must be joking. This old man is already old and my magic strength is weak. I'm afraid I'm already not a match for Ing Long. However, this old man can gift fellow Taoist 10 illusory undead puppets, and it can be considered as doing my best for young brother in this battle. Oh? In that case, I must thank fellow Taoist Xian Hai for his generous gift. Since this person had given Ning Fan the combat strength of his spiritual puppets, Ning Fan of course would not reject them. All of them were handed over to Lei Shi to command. Just like that, he was safe and sound all the way up to the 22nd floor. Almost no one dared to provoke him anymore. Fellow Taoist Zhou, you have quite the reputation. Along the way there was no one else, only people giving gifts. Lei Shi clicked his tongue in admiration. He had already collected more than 200 illusory undead puppets. Even though these undead puppets were not as strong as true void refinement realm beings, their combat power was still comparable to that of 20 void glimpse stage experts. They just want to use me. Using me to get rid of King Ing Long. From the looks of it, King Ing Long had made quite a number of enemies. Everyone pushes a wall when it's down. Luring the tiger to kill the wolf? They can actually think of such a thing. Aren't they afraid of raising a tiger like you to become the next King Ing Long? Lei Shi squinted his eyes and teased. Raising a tiger? Lei Shi, you're not the only one who is smart in this world. I'm afraid many people have already guessed my identity as a living person from the way I asked for primordial lightning. I'm a living person and it's impossible for me to stay in the Black Lightning Tower. As for you, if you only have your illusory spiritual puppets, you can only stay on the 11th floor at most. You won't go to the higher floors to compete with them. They will certainly be more than willing to use the two of us to get rid of King Ing Long. As he said that, Ning Fan no longer said anything else. The 22nd floor of the Taiyu Lightning Palace was already right in front of him. Unlike the previous floors, even though the Tower Lord of the 22nd floor had also prepared a generous gift for Ning Fan, his face was pale and his attitude was rather cold. The Lightning Lord of the 22nd floor was Lightning Lord Taiyu. He was a Void Inquiry stage expert at the second level of the Golden Body Realm. He was nearly invincible among cultivators at the same level as him, but he was still slightly weaker than King Ing Long. He hoped to use Ning Fan's hands to kill Ing Long. However, he had his own pride. It was impossible for him to bow down to Ning Fan. Moreover, this man who resembled a black tower still did not believe that Ning Fan, who was just a half-step Void Refinement Realm cultivator, could threaten the life of a Void Inquiry stage expert with his sovereign sword. I am Taiyu. I've been waiting for you for a long time. The gifts are here and the teleportation formation is also here. Little friend, feel free to use them. However, there's a prerequisite if you want to leave safely. What prerequisite? Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. He could feel a strong battle intent from Tai Yu's body. Take a punch from me. If you don't die, I will let you go to the 23rd floor. Otherwise, you won't be qualified to fight Ying Long at all. Tai Yu took a step forward. With a tremendous force, the mountains and rivers within 100,000 li collapsed. This man's body refinement realm is really strong. That you're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.